Chapter 638. The Heavenly Netherworld Divine Kingdom's Imperial Preceptor, Ji Yang, and a large number of powerhouses rushed in without any warning. It wasn't until they broke in that everyone in the Phoenix Nest was alarmed. What's going on? Did an enemy break in? Who is it? While Bai Shuihuang and the others were discussing matters in the Elders' meeting hall, the outside was suddenly enveloped by flames. Only in a very critical situation would the guards open the sealing array. Normally, they wouldn't open it at will because it would consume a lot of spiritual power. Once it was opened, it represented absolute danger. And it was a danger that would endanger the entire Phoenix clan. The most important thing was that they didn't feel anything at all. There were many divine rune arrays outside the space-time gate that would be triggered once someone broke in. The Elders Guild inside immediately knew. Right now they didn't know anything at all. Only when the guards activated the defensive formation did they know that someone had broken in. Soon after, flames burst forth from their bodies, and they quickly turned into streaks of red light as they flew out of the gate. It wasn't just Bai Shuihuang and the others. Every member of the Phoenix clan, whether they were in retreat, cultivating, or guarding something, had to leave as soon as possible. Even the strongest defensive array had been opened, which meant that they had entered a life and death situation. So who would dare to stay in the secret room? Unless it was those old farts. In any super divine kingdom, there would always be some old farts in retreat. They didn't care about anything, not because they were too indifferent, but because their lifespan was coming to an end, and there was little they could do. In the end, the only thing they could do was crawl out from the deepest part of the space-time gate and launch the last attack. After blocking it, they would either die, or their lifespan would be greatly shortened. They wouldn't be able to live for more than a few days. Therefore, they wouldn't come out until the critical moment. Now that the defensive array had been opened, the real power to wake them up was still in the hands of Bai Shuihuang. Once she crushed the jade pendant, she would do her best to resist the attack. Phoenixes weren't really immortal. They could still die, but their lifespan was relatively longer. In an instant, they arrived outside the space-time gate and immediately saw Ji Yang and the other powerhouses walking out of the space-time gate and into their territory. However, because the flame cage was firmly enveloping the area, they didn't immediately break in. "How dare you?" Bai Shuihuang shouted. A red light flashed in her hand, and two red scales shot out towards Ji Yang at lightning speed. Ji Yang gently raised his hand and deflected the red light. After the red light circled around in the air, it returned to Bai Shuihuang's hand. Only then did she see that the two thin scales contained an astonishing amount of flame power, and it was the immortal fire. The Phoenix Plume Crimson Flame is a pretty good god item. If your ancestor were to use it, it might have some effect on me. However, it's still far from enough for you. Of Ji Yang's attack, Bai Shuihuang said. Of Ji Yang's palm, but he didn't suffer any serious injuries. Under the violent attack of the divine artifact, only a faint mark was left behind. This was enough to show how powerful Ji Yang was. However, the gap between them was obvious. Ji Yang's cultivation was at the 5th layer of the Saint King stage, while Bai Shuihuang had a breakthrough recently, but she was only at the 9th layer of the Spirit King stage. The gap between the two was like a chasm, and a divine artifact couldn't make up for it. Imperial Preceptor Ji Yang, our Phoenix clan has no enmity with you. Why are you attacking us? Bai Shuihuang stared at Ji Yang. The main reason why she was so anxious was because Ji Yang was holding the guard in his hand. He was ready to crush the guard's body to extract his blood essence. Only the heavenly netherworld divine kingdom could do such a cruel thing. No grudges. After Ji Yang laughed, he squeezed the guard's heart. Along with a scream, the guard's heart was ripped out. Although Bai Shuihuang and the others screamed, it was useless. They couldn't kill their way out. If they did, it would be equivalent to entering the enemy's encirclement. At that time, they would end up like this guard, with their hearts dug out. Ji Yang put the beating heart into his mouth and chewed it slowly like he was eating a snack. He savored it and said, "This fragrance is too wonderful. Also the taste of the phoenix blood, I've been too obsessed with it. It's been a long time since I've eaten so freely, especially in front of the phoenix race." A smile appeared on his face, and it looked so sinister. "Ji Yang, your heavenly netherworld divine kingdom is dead. Bai Shuihuang said coldly. She took out a jade pendant and crushed it. That's what I want. When those old bastards come out, I'll take care of them all. Ji Young looked at her action and wasn't surprised at all. This was a signal for help, but he didn't stop her. It seems like your heavenly netherworld divine kingdom is determined to win this time. Bai Shuihuang said coldly. There were a lot of powerhouses coming, including 2 Saint King stage powerhouses. One of them was Ji Yang, and the other was General Ming Shen, the other Saint King stage powerhouse of the heavenly netherworld divine kingdom. His cultivation was also at the 4th layer of the Saint King stage, but he was slightly weaker than the imperial teacher. Not only that, but there were also a lot of Spirit King stage powerhouses behind them, especially a group of people wearing light blue clothes. Their faces couldn't be seen clearly as it was covered by a cloak. However, she could clearly feel that this group of people was very dangerous, and it felt like death was approaching. Obviously they came prepared, but they didn't know anything about it. They didn't know anything about the heavenly netherworld divine kingdom's plan. Of course, otherwise, why do you think we came here? Ji Yang smiled and said, Let's continue the previous topic. You said that you have no grievances with me? For the time being, let's start with the evil spirit race. What do you think of the hatred between us? There's no need to hide it, we're already here. Do you think we can still act like friends and greet each other with a hypocritical smile? Ji Yang was right, since they had already come to the heavenly netherworld divine kingdom. It meant that there was no room for reconciliation. Even if they handed over all their treasures, it would be useless because they needed the lives of the entire Phoenix clan, so begging for mercy and giving treasures was meaningless. It seems that you have admitted that you are the descendants of the evil spirit race? Bai Shuihuang sneered. Do you think we can turn the tables today? Ji Yang said calmly. We've prepared a lot for this day. I didn't think that our plan would be ruined. However, it's not a big deal. It's still under control. Today is the day the Phoenix clan is erased from the netherworld. Remember it well. Remember it with fresh blood. Ji Yang sneered. He stretched out his hand and made a grabbing motion. Another guard was pulled over. Next, he clenched his fist, and the guard was reduced to a mist of blood that scattered around. Bai Shuihuang and the others felt pain in their hearts. If the anger in their eyes could kill, Ji Yang would have already been burned to ashes. The war was about to break out, and Yi Tianyan quickly rushed over, feeling that something was wrong. Chapter 639. The heavenly netherworld divine nation and the Phoenix race have officially shed all pretense of cordiality. Previously, they had been smiling at each other, but now, they were no longer showing any hypocritical smiles. Killing 2 guards in a row was the best proof of that. Moreover, it was impossible for them to get back on their feet now that they had entered the heavenly netherworld divine nation. They had thought this way a long time ago. As the descendants of the evil spirit race, how could they easily forgive the actions of the Phoenix race? The Phoenix race would also not forgive the actions of the evil spirit race. Even their descendants would be ruthlessly eradicated. The reason why the Phoenix race slaughtered the Phoenix race was to absorb the blood essence of the Phoenix race. The Phoenix clan had always been one to not offend others as long as the enemy did not offend them. Since they had offended the Phoenix race, they would be eradicated. Suddenly, the 2 phoenix feathers in Bai Shuihuang's hands turned into red light and shot out at a speed 10 times faster than before. Swoosh! It went straight towards Ji Yang. Ji Yang quickly raised his hand to block the attack, but this time he did not block it with his bare hands. He took out a fan and waved it in front of him. Dang! Ji Yang was forced to take a few steps back. 2 marks appeared on the fan in his hand, but it did not penetrate through the fan. Obviously, this fan was not an ordinary item, it was a divine artifact. Although divine tools were not as common as cabbages on the streets, to a Saint King, not having 1 or 2 divine tools to protect himself would really be too weak. Especially when a divine artifact was not even a divine artifact, it was really a joke. The imperial preceptor of the heavenly netherworld divine nation. He is indeed very young. Compared to us old farts, he is much stronger. An old man in red floated down from the sky. The 2 phoenix feathers landed in his hands. Although he looked old, there was not the slightest hint of turbidity in his eyes. Instead, his gaze was filled with sharpness, not one bit inferior to that of a young person. Yes, but is the heavenly netherworld divine nation bullying the Phoenix race? Our Phoenix race has been in seclusion for a long time. Do they think that our Phoenix race is weak? Another old man wearing a red robe landed from the sky. It seems that we three old farts have to prove to the heavenly netherworld divine nation, and the whole netherworld, that our Phoenix race is not weak. Another old man appeared on the side with a faint smile on his face. We pay our respects to the three ancestors, they respectfully shouted. These three were the ancestors of the Phoenix clan, three Saint King stage powerhouses. The weakest among them was at the Saint King stage 4th layer, while the strongest was at the Saint King stage 7th layer, crushing the two opposing masters with absolute power. This was the foundation of the Phoenix clan. If one didn't come out of seclusion, one wouldn't know how strong the Phoenix clan was. Many members of the Phoenix clan heaved a sigh of relief when they saw the three old ancestors. With the three of them here, there would be no problem. As expected of the Phoenix clan, I didn't expect them to have three patriarchs. The outside world said that the Phoenix clan only has one patriarch. Now it seems like that was just a rumor. Ji Young laughed. He didn't look worried at all. The Phoenix race had a longer lifespan, so it was not surprising that they had three great ancestors. The most powerful one was much stronger than them. It had to be said that the gap between them was quite big, but he was not afraid. Because all of this was within the scope of his calculations, and it did not exceed his expectations. Heavenly netherworld divine kingdom. As the descendants of the evil spirit race, you actually hid in the shadows and pretended that nothing had happened to you. Fortunately, we found out about it, otherwise, we would have been kept in the dark. Bai Shuihuang said coldly. Since you have come to our door, then we will fight to the end. Previously, they had been suppressing the anger in their hearts. Now they were ready to fight fiercely. Is that so? With this great array, or just you three old ancestors? Ji Yang said with a smile. It's more than enough to deal with you. Bai Shuihuang said coldly. Since you are so confident, then the stage is ready. Let's begin. Ji Yang smiled, but in their eyes, this smile seemed a little strange, and there was even a hint of success in it. Not good. The faces of the three old ancestors changed, including Bai Shuihuang. They suddenly remembered something, and that was the evil spirit that was suppressed in the Phoenix cave. Boom, boom, boom. At this time the ground shook, and the vibration came from the side of the Phoenix cave, which made their faces change. Sure enough, there was a change in the Phoenix cave. It was not that Yi Tianyun's divine runes were too bad, but someone had sneaked in and took advantage of the fact that they were all gathered here to unseal it. Ha ha ha, it's too late. Do you think that our heavenly netherworld holy king will not come in person for such a glorious event? Moreover, it's time for him to take back his doppelganger. Ji Yang laughed. He was not in a hurry, he just wanted to buy time. Who would have thought that the other party would take the bait without any trouble? Who would have thought that the Phoenix clan would sneak in from another place? Doppelganger. The current heavenly netherworld holy king is suppressing the evil spirit's doppelganger, and now he is going to fuse with it. Their faces were gloomy. In order to suppress the evil spirit, they had exhausted the life of two holy kings, but who would have thought that the evil spirit would escape and fuse with another doppelganger? They no longer paid attention to Ji Yang and the others, turned around and flew towards the Phoenix cave. After they left, Ji Yang smiled and waved his hand lightly. Do you really think that this broken array can trap us? The group of cultivators standing behind Ji Yang took off their blue robes, revealing their dark blue bodies. Cold chi was released from their bodies. Their faces and bodies were engraved with dark blue divine runes, as if they were strengthening something. After taking off their robes, the 12 Spirit King stage experts instantly fused together, releasing a sky-piercing cold air that froze everything in its path. Zizizi. When the flame cage was enveloped by the cold air, a harsh sound was heard, and the cage that seemed difficult to break was frozen in just a moment. The terrifying freezing flame easily suppressed the flame cage. What kind of power is this? The elder who was guarding the flame cage was shocked by the situation. This was a peerless grand array. How could it be so easy to break the cage? This is the heavenly Yin fire, which is specially used to restrain our fire power. Shopkeeper Yi and the others had seen the heavenly Yin fire before, but when they saw that all 12 of them could use the heavenly Yin fire, their hearts trembled. This was a power that could restrain them, and if they managed to break into the Phoenix Cave, they would undoubtedly be able to suppress them. Chapter 640. When Bai Shui Huang and the others quickly arrived at the Phoenix Cave, they saw that the place was filled with heavenly Yin fire. The previous immortal fire had already disappeared. In the face of the inexhaustible heavenly Yin fire, even the immortal fire could only retreat. No one could continue to release the immortal fire, so it could only be extinguished by the heavenly Yin fire. Standing there, they could sense a terrifying power coming from the depths of the earth, shocking them. Moreover, this power was getting stronger and stronger, as if it was going to reach a higher level at any time. The evil spirit soul has been liberated, and it seems that it's still in the process of fusing. We still have a chance to break the fusion. Old ancestor Feng Tian said. He was the strongest among them, so he planned to kill them all. Although the place was filled with heavenly Yin fire, it was not difficult for them to extinguish it. Moreover, even if they let it burn their bodies, it would not cause too much trouble. Their cultivation was high, so they could resist the heavenly Yin fire. They were also experts of the Phoenix clan, so they had high-grade Phoenix fire. Even if it was not as good as the heavenly Yin fire, with their cultivation, they could still suppress it. Yes, let's go down quickly, we can't slow down. The other one was old ancestor Feng Yun, the second strongest among the group. They looked at each other, and the three of them immediately formed a triangular formation, and rushed into the Phoenix Cave. Wherever they went, the heavenly Yin fire was quickly suppressed. As the patriarch, Bai Shui Huang also followed. She had the immortal fire, so she was not afraid of the heavenly Yin fire. Moreover, they had already washed away the heavenly Yin fire that was wrapped around them, and forcibly opened up a path. Therefore, the others were able to catch up. However, not many people followed them, only Bai Shui Huang and Elder Feng, who was in charge of the treasure house. The other elders were guarding outside the door. If everyone came, no one would be able to guard the entrance. Moreover, they were facing the heavenly netherworld Holy King and the evil spirit. Those with low cultivation would not be of much help. If even the three old ancestors couldn't deal with them, then the others would not be able to help. After they quickly flew down, they saw a middle-aged man who was absorbing the black fog in the depths of the ground bit by bit. His speed was neither fast nor slow. Every time he absorbed a bit of the black mist, the handsome middle-aged man would become slightly stronger. Without a doubt, this middle-aged man was the heavenly netherworld Holy King, the strongest expert of the heavenly netherworld divine nation, and the mastermind behind the scenes. Originally, Yang Kai's cultivation had reached the Saint King stage 8th layer, and as he absorbed it into his body, his strength increased little by little. At this rate, if he were to continue like this, he would probably break through to the level of a peak Saint King, or even the level of a God King. When one reached the God King level, one could basically walk unhindered in the three realms. No one knew if there were any godly monarchs in the three realms. Up until now, no godly monarchs had appeared. It might be hiding in a corner, or it might not be there. If there were no other God Kings, once the Sky Netherworld Holy King broke through, he would be able to dominate the three realms. When the three realms were dominated by the evil spirit race, they would definitely fall into absolute darkness. If one looked carefully, they would discover that there was actually a big hole on the side. After an unknown period of time, a large hole had already been dug out here. One must know that this place was inscribed with divine imprints. How could one avoid these divine imprints to enter? But the fact was in front of them. The Sky Netherworld Holy King had secretly dug a hole while they were out. By the time they reacted, it was already too late. The Sky Netherworld Holy King had already broken a little of the divine imprints, and allowed his doppelganger to return to his body. It should be said that it was originally a whole body, and now it was all taken back. Once it was completely integrated, it would reach an even more terrifying realm. No wonder there was such a big attack. With the ancestors, even the Phoenix race would probably be suppressed. Stop him! The three of them looked at each other, and quickly poured out the Phoenix fire from their bodies. In an instant, They merged together and turned into a huge fireball that smashed towards the Sky Netherworld Holy King. Even in the face of the immortal fire and heavenly fire, the terrifying flames could be swallowed up. The surging heavenly fire along the way was quickly swallowed up by this huge fireball, and then turned into nothingness. Finally, it hit the Sky Netherworld Holy King's body, causing a violent flame explosion. Boom! The deafening sound spread in all directions, and the entire Phoenix Cave shook as if it would collapse at any time. The joint attack of 3 Holy King powerhouses was naturally not bad. After the explosion dissipated, they found that the Sky Netherworld Holy King was unscathed, and his body was shrouded in a faint blue light. The light was emitted from the crystal on his chest, and it released a hard shield that blocked the attack of the 3 Holy Kings. Middle-grade divine artifact. They gasped, not expecting the Sky Netherworld Holy King to have a middle-grade divine artifact. Normally, it was a low-grade divine artifact, and it was rare to see a middle-grade divine artifact. This divine artifact was quite powerful, and even in the face of the attacks of the 3 powerhouses, it was still not broken. Be good and wait at the side. It will be your turn soon. The Sky Netherworld Holy King smiled sinisterly and continued to concentrate on absorbing his soul. If it was not for the fact that the seal was too hard, it would have been sucked out long ago. Continue to attack. The 3 old ancestors did not stop attacking. Even if it was a middle-grade divine artifact, it would eventually be broken. So far, they could only attack crazily, and there was no other way. Boom, boom, boom. Immediately after, they used all their skills and continuously attacked fiercely. For a moment, the Phoenix Cave was about to be blown up by the bombardment. At the same time, when Ji Young broke through the flame cage, it meant that the Phoenix clan was in an absolute danger zone. How could 2 Saint King stage powerhouses resist them? Coupled with so many Spirit King stage powerhouses, it was really difficult for them to resist. Elder Luo, Elder Lei, and the others were surrounded by 12 experts with heavenly fire. They wanted to capture all the members of the Phoenix clan. They wouldn't be killed so easily. To Ji Young, these were all precious blood essences. He definitely couldn't waste them. It was a bit wasteful to kill all of them and collect all their blood essences, so it was better to capture them and extract them little by little. Don't struggle pointlessly. Just let yourself be caught. Ji Young smiled, and at the same time he stretched out his hand and said, "Go and capture all the children of the Phoenix clan. They are more precious than these old guys." "How dare you?" Elder Luo roared, and instantly burned his blood essences. In order to prevent his granddaughter from being captured, he immediately burned his blood essences and prepared to risk his life. "How dare you be so arrogant? Get out of here." Ji Yang's figure flashed, and he stretched out his hand to slap Elder Luo. Pa! A palm print appeared on Elder Luo's chest. Elder Luo snorted, and after a long distance, he barely managed to stop himself. His chest was already sunken, and he was seriously injured. Ji Young didn't kill him. He definitely wanted to capture him alive. Only a living person would be valuable. Grandfather! A beautiful figure flew over, and it turned out to be a 15 or 16-year-old girl. After flying over, she helped her grandfather up and said worriedly, "Grandfather, are you okay? I'll take you away now." "How did you come out?" Elder Luo was terrified. They had been hiding well, but they actually came out. "But I'm worried about grandfather." This girl was none other than Luo Yan. In just a few short months, in just half a year, she had already grown into a young lady. It was simply unbelievable. Obviously, her memory had recovered, and she knew a lot of things. "You want to leave? It's too late now." Ji Young licked his lips and said, "It looks delicious. I wonder how it tastes." Luo Yan's face turned pale, but she still held Elder Luo and quickly ran away. But how could they escape faster than Ji Young? Xiao! Suddenly, a beam of light shot out and instantly slashed at his outstretched palm. Ji Young had no choice but to slap it back and disperse the attack. Chapter 641. Yi Tianyan's familiar figure walked in from the outside of the space-time gate. The familiar face didn't change at all. When Elder Luo and the others saw Yi Tianyan, how could they not recognize him? It's just that at this critical moment, Tianyan actually appeared to help them. They are grateful. But in the current situation, isn't it a suicide mission? There were 2 Saint King stage powerhouses on the side, and there were also many Spirit King stage powerhouses not far away. Even though his cultivation was not bad, and he could kill 5 Spirit King stage powerhouses in a row, he still couldn't kill them. But now that they were facing 2 Saint King stage cultivators, they could only wait for death. There were too many strong cultivators, especially those who could use the heavenly Yin fire. Even the immortal fire wouldn't be able to suppress them. Go! Elder Luo screamed. You stupid humans, do you want to take advantage of people's difficulties to kill? He suddenly yelled at Tianyan, not with a smile on his face. Of course, he wasn't scolding Tianyan, but deliberately driving him away. He didn't want Ji Yang to think that Tianyan was a friend of the Phoenix clan. Daddy. Luo Yan's eyes suddenly turned red when she saw Tianyan, but she didn't say anything. Tianyan didn't pay attention to Elder Luo's words, and continued to walk towards them. He looked at Luo Yan with surprise. In such a short period of time, Tianyan could grow so big. It seems that he has undergone a transformation, otherwise he wouldn't have grown so fast. The situation of a phoenix is quite special. After a transformation, there will be a big change. Obviously, he is still a child, but after the transformation, he may become a slim and graceful girl. You think I don't know what you are thinking? Ji Yang looked at Tianyan and said. I heard that the one who repaired the divine runes is a human cultivator. So it's very likely that it's him. There are so many cultivators of the heavenly netherworld divine kingdom outside, who would dare to break in. Only then did he remember that there was an inescapable net outside. It was extremely difficult to break in. Unless he killed a group of cultivators, it was impossible to enter. The fact that Tianyan had walked in just like that meant that the inescapable net outside had been broken. Of course, it was also possible that he had snuck in. Ji Yang's words made Elder Luo and the others' faces change. They immediately shouted, Hurry up and leave. This is the imperial advisor of the Nether Heaven Divine Kingdom. You can't beat him. What's the point of shouting now? Once you enter my line of sight, you won't be able to escape. Ji Yang wasn't anxious at all. Instead, he waved his hand and signaled his subordinates to surround him. You've already reached the level of a divine inscriptionist at such a young age. I'll give you a chance now. Submit to me, and I'll guarantee you riches and glory. As long as you like it, you can choose any of the Phoenix race's members, and they will be under your control. Other than that, there are other positions that are much better than staying here. Ji Yang could see that Tianyan was somewhat concerned about Luo Yan, so he threw out the temptation. Facing a genius like Tianyan, Ji Yang still cherished his talent. It should be said that Tianyan was a human, so Ji Yang wasn't interested in him. He was only interested in his abilities. Is that so? Then I want the entire Phoenix race to be under my control. Are you willing? Tianyan sneered. Ji Yang's expression didn't change. He still maintained a faint smile, as if everything was under his control. As expected of a loyal dog of the Phoenix race. Do you think that the Phoenix race will win this time? Ji Yang smiled. A loyal dog of the Phoenix race? Compared to trash like you, I feel that he's a little better. Tianyan said indifferently. They will definitely win, because I'm here. Haha, aren't you afraid that the wind will cut your tongue? Ji Yang waved his hand impatiently. Forget it, the entertainment is over. Don't waste my time. Let's get rid of him and let him die a painful death. 3 Spirit King stage experts rushed towards Tianyan without hesitation. The weakest of them was at the 4th layer of Spirit King stage, and the strongest was at the 6th layer. They were all elite experts, but they weren't the ones who had surrounded Tianyan. Father! Luo Yan's beautiful face paled as she shouted, her heart in her throat. No one had seen how Tianyan fought before, but this time, the 3 of them surrounded him, and they were much stronger than the previous time on the heaven-ascending divine altar. Tianyan stretched out his hand, and the heavenly netherworld divine sword fell into his hand. Sizzle! The netherworld fire appeared on the sword and instantly ignited the surrounding air. When the sword appeared, Ji Yang and the others were stunned. They had never seen this sword before. It was the divine artifact of the heavenly netherworld divine kingdom, but now it was in the hands of Yi Tianyan. All of a sudden, they remembered the incident where a human killed 5 Spirit King stage powerhouses and obtained the inheritance of the heaven-creating divine king. "Don't go near him," Jiyang shouted. But it's too late. A huge phantom appeared behind Yi Tianyan, followed by a whirling slash. The huge phantom pierced through the air with unparalleled power. The 3 Spirit Kings who rushed towards Yi Tianyan didn't have enough time to prepare themselves, and their bodies were pierced by the huge shadow. In an instant, the body that was charging over stiffened on the road. Soon after, with a poochie sound, his head flew into the air and 3 pillars of blood spurted out. It looked extremely bloody. Ding. Successfully killed a 6th layer Spirit King stage expert. Reward: EXP. Ding. Success. Yi Tianyan easily killed 3 Spirit King stage experts in a row. Even if they were stronger than Yi Tianyan, they were nothing in front of his excellent equipment. He was wearing the Desolate Ancient Necklace and Desolate Ancient Ring, which was more than enough to crush anything in front of him. More importantly, he was still wearing the Evil God set. Because he had not transformed, his body looked pitch black, which made him look somewhat demonic. "Do you recognize this sword?" Yi Tianyan smiled indifferently and said, "This sword's power is not bad. I haven't used it before. Today, I will use your divine sword to sacrifice everyone, including you." Before she could finish her sentence, Luo Yin revealed a horrified expression. She opened her mouth to say something, but her voice was half a beat too slow. A figure appeared behind Yi Tianyan, shining blue light piercing his back. The speed is so fast that people can only see an afterimage. The corners of Ji Yang's mouth had already curled up into a cold smile. It was a disdainful smile. Yi Tianyan didn't even look at his back, and he slashed his sword at the figure. The evil spirit's suit on his body shone with an amazing black light. In an instant, a domineering black sword light slashed towards the figure behind him, and it was more than 10 meters high. Boom! The phantom was blasted away, and was forced to retreat continuously by the sword light. Moreover, it continuously cut into his body, wanting to cut him into 2. "Break for me!" The figure roared and slammed his hands forward. Bang! The black sword light was barely crushed, but a deep wound was left on his body. It was so deep that his bones could be seen. Everyone finally saw who the sneak attacker was. It was General Ming Shun. But now he was almost cut in half by Yi Tianyan's sword light. "Is sneak attack fun?" Yi Tianyan sneered. How could he not feel that someone was sneak attacking him? Chapter 642. With a single strike, Great General Ming Shun was sent flying, leaving a deep sword wound on his chest. This was a Saint King stage powerhouse, yet he was sent flying by a single strike. If it wasn't for his tough skin, he would have been cut in half. After everyone saw this, they couldn't help but suck in a breath of cold air. This was too overbearing, far beyond their imagination. Obviously, Great General Ming Shun was only able to deal with Spirit King stage powerhouses before. Even the most famous Great General Ming Shun was almost cut in half by a single strike. The power of this attack made everyone's pupils shrink and their scalp tingle. Although Yi Tianyan's strength was very strong, the main problem was that his strength had increased a little too fast. This was not in line with what they knew at all. How is this possible? Ji Yang's smile froze. This was beyond his expectations and beyond his control. Oracle. Elder Luo sat up in shock and felt that the wound did not hurt at all. In addition to shock, there was still shock. Even Luo Yin was shocked. Her beautiful eyes were filled with admiration, and her heart was suddenly filled with hope. This was her father. Although she was mistaken, now that she saw Yi Tianyan's strength, the stone that was hanging on her chest finally fell down. Time is running out, let's solve this first. Yi Tianyan looked at the distant phoenix cave with a cold light flashing in his eyes. He could feel a terrifying power coming from there. If he continued to let it develop, he was afraid that it would be out of his control. His current strength was not bad, but once it was out of his control, even the evil spirit's set couldn't fill the gap. When the gap in cultivation reached a certain level, it would be impossible to resist this terrifying power. For example, this was the first time he faced Ji Yang head-on. Ji Yang was only at the 6th layer of the Saint King stage, but his battle prowess had already reached 2.5 billion. Once he used his full strength, his battle prowess would definitely be more than 5 or 6 billion. In this state, he could still suppress it, but facing someone at the peak of the Saint King stage, he was not sure. Especially the evil spirit, an existence from a long time ago. Now that it had become stronger, he didn't know what level it would reach. Since he didn't know, he had to kill it as soon as possible. Kill him. Ji Yang waved the divine fan in his hand. His eyes flashed with murderous intent. He would not allow anything that was out of his control to happen. In the next moment, his power instantly surged out, and the heavenly Yin fire was released from his body. The divine fan in his hand was filled with the heavenly Yin fire, and the divine runes on each of its ribs were ignited. Almost in an instant, a huge hollow spirit appeared behind him. Its ghostly wails and wolf-like howls spread in all directions. The place where he stood was immediately eroded by the heavenly Yin fire. His combat power soared crazily, rushing to the 6 billion mark in a single breath, and even going up to the 7 billion mark. They didn't go all out, but at least they used more than half of their strength to test the waters. On the other side, Great General Ming Shun's expression was resolute, and the wounds on his body healed rapidly. In the blink of an eye, even the scars disappeared. His super healing ability was astonishing. The terrifying heavenly Yin fire was also ignited. He could also control the heavenly Yin fire, so this was not surprising. He stretched out his hand, and a heavenly nether divine spear fell into his hand. A faint ghostly wail came from the spear, and even a distorted demon could be seen howling out of the spear, trying to rush out of it. I haven't met such a strong opponent for a long time. Let me see how strong you are. The two Saint King stage powerhouses burst out at the same time. They wanted to eradicate this unknown force as soon as possible. As for Yi Tianyan, there was no need to take it slow. After all, it was useless to them. The power of the bloodline was certainly not as good as that of the Phoenix race. The power of the human race's bloodline was the most useless existence to them, so they were too lazy to care about it. Now they only had one goal, and that was to kill Yi Tianyan. Daddy, be careful. Luoyan shouted in a low voice. She was afraid that Yi Tianyan would be distracted, so she didn't shout. What a good kid. I don't know how he cultivated to reach such a level. But facing two Saint Kings, can he resist them? Elder Luo said with a worried look. Although Yi Tianyan had repelled Great General Ming Shun, it didn't mean that he had absolute power. When Great General Ming Shun launched a sneak attack, he didn't use his full strength. In their eyes, Yi Tianyan was just an ant that could be crushed at any time. It was normal for him to be attacked when he was careless. Now that he was going all out, the meaning was completely different. Especially with two Saint King stage powerhouses, each of them had enough experience, so how could they suppress them? Not only that, but his old friends were also trapped in the encirclement. The 12 heavenly Yin divine soldiers that could control the heavenly Yin fire were madly capturing the Phoenix race's people. As long as they were frozen by the heavenly Yin fire, they couldn't move at all, and could only watch helplessly as they were captured. Before you tell others to be careful, you should worry about yourself first. At this time, a sinister laughter came from the side, and a Spirit King stage powerhouse appeared beside them, ready to subdue them. He couldn't let them stay here forever. As long as they were Phoenix race's people, they must be captured. It seems that you are trying to provoke me, Yi Tianyan said coldly. If you want to save others, take care of yourself first. Great General Ming Shun, who was closest to Yi Tianyan, roared, and the divine spear in his hand pierced through Yi Tianyan's body. He wanted to return the favor. I don't have that much patience. Evil spirits mode. A black light flashed in Yi Tianyan's eyes, and in the next moment, a black flame burst out from the surface of his body, and at the same time his body expanded rapidly, and in a blink of an eye, he turned into an evil spirit holding a divine sword, and slashed at the Spirit King stage powerhouse who was about to catch Luo Yan. Immediately, the black flame turned into a black sword chi and flew towards the Spirit King stage cultivator, who was about to catch Luo Yan. It was as if the sword chi could track its target and cut the Spirit King stage cultivator in half. It was like cutting a piece of tofu. and it was as easy as cutting a piece of tofu. At the same time, the divine spear had already pierced towards Luo Yan, and every inch of space that it passed was turned into dust. But when the spear was about to reach Yi Tianyan, he stretched out his hand and grabbed the head of the spear, and the terrifying attack was stopped. Great General Mingshan was shocked. No matter how he attacked, he couldn't even pierce half an inch into the spear. This was an attack that he had used all of his strength, but it was completely useless. It had been completely blocked outside. Chapter 643. Seeing that Yi Tianyan was holding the divine spear, General Mingshan was shocked. He wanted to pull it back, but it didn't budge at all. No matter how much strength he used, he couldn't move it even a little bit. Just when he was about to burn his blood essence to suppress Yi Tianyan picked up the divine spear and lifted General Mingshan up. As soon as he lifted it up, he swung it forward. Boom! Ji Yang attacked, and Yi Tianyan used General Mingshan as a shield. Because the speed was too fast, Ji Yang didn't even have time to react, and the divine fan in his hand slashed down on General Mingshan's body. Humph! Great General Mingshan snorted. He felt like his body was about to be cut open. In fact, there was indeed a huge wound. General Mingshan was hit hard on his back, and he didn't even have the slightest defense. It was hard for him not to be seriously injured. Mingshan. Ji Yang's face changed, and he quickly retracted his attack. He grabbed General Mingshan and dragged him behind him, but General Mingshan didn't move at all. Did I allow you to take him away? Yi Tianyan's eyes turned cold, and he grabbed General Mingshan and dragged him back. Even Ji Yang was dragged by General Mingshan, and he couldn't pull him back at all. In the end, he had to let go of General Mingshan. Bang! After Yi Tianyan dragged General Mingshan over, he slammed General Mingshan into the ground. His entire body had been smashed into the hard ground, and his entire body had sunk in. In particular, the wound on his back was so deep that his bones could be seen. It was truly a ghastly sight. What a domineering power! How did he cultivate? What kind of race is he? Ji Yang's face turned ugly. He wanted to save General Mingshan, but he couldn't do it. Everyone looked at Yi Tianyan in shock. Even a Spirit King stage expert was easily killed by an attack from a distance. Although they could attack from afar, the power of such a long-range attack was reduced. However, not only did his power not decrease, it still maintained its terrifying power. More importantly, this huge body was pitch black and was more than 2 meters tall. Its entire body was pitch black, and black flames spread out in all directions, even burning Great General Mingshan, who was under its feet. Get lost! The underworld god general's body emitted the surging heavenly Yin fire, which revolved inside his body and quickly enveloped Yi Tianyan. This scene shocked Elder Luo and the others. They almost forgot that this guy can also release the heavenly Yin fire. It's easy to get hit by it. When the heavenly Yin fire rolled up, the black flame on Yi Tianyan's body immediately suppressed it, and even swallowed it at an even more terrifying speed, burning the great General Mingshan to the point that he screamed in pain. What kind of flame is this? Get out of my way. General Mingshan couldn't get up no matter how hard he tried. He was trampled under Yi Tianyan's feet, and he couldn't move at all. Friend, if you kill him, we will make sure that you die without a burial place. If you leave now, we will not hold you responsible. Ji Yang walked over and began to negotiate. Previously, they thought that Yi Tianyan didn't have an equal status to communicate with them, but now, they finally knew that he was strong enough to crush them. They didn't dare to say that he could defeat their holy lord, but at least he could destroy their plan now. If they let these Phoenix Clan people go, then their plan would be in vain. For example, if they escaped to the mortal world, or even the heavenly realm, who would be able to find them? Even in the ghost world, if they really wanted to hide, it would be extremely difficult to find them. The ghost world was too big, and there were many places that even the heavenly netherworld divine kingdom hadn't been to before. Do you think you are qualified to negotiate with me now? Yi Tianyan held General Mingshan's divine spear, and stabbed it at General Mingshan's body, nailing him to the ground. I am going to kill you. General Mingshan, who was nailed to the ground by the flames, shouted loudly. What he felt now was not pain, but a kind of humiliation. As a holy king, he was trampled on the ground and couldn't move. This humiliation was worse than killing him. There are many people who want to kill me, and you are not one of them. But if someone wants to kill me, I always like to eliminate them. Yi Tianyan sneered, and the black flames on his body quickly began to burn faster, causing General Mingshen to growl. Even if General Mingshen was a veteran of hundreds of battles and had suffered countless injuries, the black flames could even burn his soul. The pain was not easy to get rid of. How dare you? Ji Yang was furious. This was his companion for many years, and he couldn't just watch him die. Heavenly Yin Divine Soldiers, come over. The Heavenly Yin Divine Soldiers, who were originally capturing the Phoenix clan, quickly gathered after hearing Ji Yang's summon. Activate the array. Ji Yang roared and closed the divine fan in his hand, and a large array immediately appeared under his feet. This group of Heavenly Yin Divine Soldiers quickly gathered and stepped into the array. The Heavenly Yin fire in their body immediately flowed along the array's meridians and rushed into Ji Yang's body. In the next moment, a huge nether dragon was formed by the Heavenly Yin fire. However, this nether dragon was condensed by the Heavenly Yin fire, which made it look even more terrifying and powerful. The combat power displayed by the appraisal eye was the best proof of its combat power. It was 8 billion combat power. As expected of a large array, it gathered all of its power and burst out with even more terrifying power. Especially with Ji Yang presiding over this large array, its power was even more amazing. I didn't want to use this array so soon, but I didn't expect that you would force me to use it. Ji Yang's eyes flashed with killing intent, and he was ready to control the Nether Dragon Divine Array to attack. The power is not bad, but what if there are a few people who are wrong? Yi Tianyan's eyes flashed with a strange light, and two of the Heavenly Yin Divine Soldiers who were within the 5th layer of Spirit King stage suddenly froze. Immediately, a terrifying Heavenly Yin fire burst out from their body, and the large array that was originally balanced was immediately destroyed. What's going on? Ji Yang was incredibly shocked. He raised his head and looked at the Abyss Dragon, who was acting strangely. Then he quickly shouted, "Run!" As soon as Ji Yang shouted, the Nether Dragon in the sky suddenly exploded and turned into a terrifying Heavenly Yin fire rain that directly devoured the Heavenly Yin Divine Soldiers. Bing. Successfully killed a Heavenly Yin Divine Soldier. Reward: 1 billion EXP, 30,000 crazy points, 5,000 SPs. Obtained Heavenly Yin Divine Art, Heavenly Yin Great Array. Reward: Heavenly Yin Fire, low-grade Earth level. Heavenly Yin Divine Armor, high-grade Sacred Tool. Heavenly Yin Boots, high-grade Sacred Tool. Ding. Successfully killed a Heavenly Yin Divine Soldier. Reward: 3 billion EXP. Ding. A 5th or 6th layer Spirit King stage expert could give him 1 billion EXP, which made him speechless. That was because he had stacked all of his EXP card, Crazy Points card, and Sin Value card. Chapter 644. Ding. Successfully killed a Heavenly Yin Divine Soldier. Reward: 3 billion EXP, 30,000 crazy points. Ding. Successfully killed. Ding. Congratulations to player Yi Tianyan for successfully breaking through to 5th layer Spirit King stage. Ding. Congratulations to player Yi Tianyan for successfully breaking through to 6th layer Spirit King stage. More than half of the Heavenly Yin Divine Soldiers were killed by the Dark Dragon's explosion. That was a terrifying power. How could they be fine with their cultivation? Those who escaped quickly would be fine, but those who were slower, especially those who were in the center of the formation, would definitely die. Especially the two Heavenly Yin Divine Soldiers controlled by Yi Tianyan, they were directly killed by the explosion. Since he was the leader of the formation, the EXP of the other Heavenly Yin Divine Soldiers that died will be counted to him. It would be a huge loss if the EXP was not counted to him. With the 221 times EXP stacking, he leveled up 2 times in a row. Originally, he was about to break through to 5th layer Spirit King stage, but now that he got so much EXP, he could naturally level up again. Since he knew that the Heavenly Netherworld Divine Nation was going to attack, it meant that he was going to go all out. In this state, he would definitely go on a killing spree. For this, even if he had to sell everything he had, he would buy all the EXP cards he had. With all the EXP stacking, he reached an amazing number. This was the highest value in history, shocking everyone. It crushed everyone else. What the hell happened? Why did they suddenly lose control? Ji Young looked at the surviving Heavenly Een Divine soldiers, and was shocked and angry. They had been cultivating for so long, how could they make a mistake? But they made a mistake here, and it was a very serious mistake. He could feel that two of his men suddenly burst out with their strongest power. This was not as simple as a mistake, it was deliberate. Otherwise, who would burst out with such strong power? Once the power was out of balance, it would lead to an explosion. This was the biggest weakness of the fusion formation. Once it failed, it would be very dangerous. If he didn't escape quickly, he would have been seriously injured by the explosion. Didn't you want to attack? Where is the attack? Yi Tianyun smiled indifferently, as if everything was under his control. Previously, Ji Young had been smiling confidently, but now he had already lost control of himself. He was in a sorry state. In the blink of an eye, more than half of the people he brought with him died. Initially, Elder Lei and the others were trapped. Now they had managed to escape and recover. He stared blankly at the place where the explosion had occurred, feeling extremely shocked in his heart. Fortunately, something had gone wrong. Otherwise, it would have been really difficult for them to deal with. In his heart, he rejoiced in their misfortune. This kind of thing should happen more often. He sighed at their good luck. What they didn't know was that all of this was caused by Yi Tianyun's eyes of charm. A single charm was enough to make the Heavenly Een Divine soldier lose control. Is this your doing? Ji Young was furious. No matter how he thought about it, he felt that it was Yi Tianyun's fault. If it wasn't him, who else could it be? My doing? So what? You bunch of trash, it's not enough to kill you all. Yi Tianyun looked down at the burnt General Mingshen on the ground and said indifferently, it's about time to send him on his way. How dare you? Ji Young shouted and wanted to rush over to help General Mingshen. However, everything was too slow. Yi Tianyun grabbed the divine spear and swung it to the side, cutting Great General Mingshen in half. Great General Mingshen was dead. Ding. Successfully killed General Mingshen. Reward, 20 billion EXP, 150,000 crazy points, 20,000 SPs. Reward, Heavenly Een Grand Array, Heavenly Een Divine Secret Art. Reward, Heavenly Een Fire, Mid-Grade Earth Level, Evil Spirit Bloodline Rare, Evil Spirit Soul Rare. Ding. Reward, 500 million EXP, 100,000 crazy points, 10,000 SPs, 1 super enhanced lottery roulette ticket. Ding. Congratulations to player, Yi Tianyun, for successfully breaking through to 7th layer Spirit King stage. Ding. Congratulations to player, Yi Tianyun, for successfully breaking through to 8th layer Spirit King stage. Killing General Mingshen gave him 20 billion EXP, which made Yi Tianyun's heart tremble. This was simply too frightening. It was simply an explosive value, an unimaginable value. Yi Tianyun couldn't even imagine it before, but now it appeared in front of him. General Mingshen's basic EXP was almost 100 million, and with more than 200 times of Express, it reached a shocking number. Although it was difficult to level up, but with such a crazy amount of EXP, it was like nothing. This is crazy. Yi Tianyun never felt that he leveled up so fast, and his strength increased by leaps and bounds. At this rate, if he killed Ji Yang, he would reach peak Spirit King stage. Ji Yang's cultivation was higher than General Mingshen, so his EXP was even more amazing. After killing General Mingshen, he would get another 20 billion EXP. At this time, Ji Yang was already charging towards Yi Tianyun. Releasing his strongest power, his body began to change, and his face became distorted. The next moment, his whole body turned black, and tentacles grew out of his body as if he had countless hands. However, these tentacles quickly fused and turned into 2 hands, turning into a 4-armed powerhouse. Whether it was his size or strength, he had a great breakthrough, as if he had transformed into a demon god. Holding 4 divine tools in his hands, his strength was unparalleled. This is the power of the evil spirit race, divine messenger, Be careful. Elder Luo shouted in the distance. Yi Tianyan squinted his eyes, and detailed data immediately appeared in front of him. Ji Yang. Transformed into the evil spirit race, the strongest ability is to evolve 8 arms, and each additional arm can greatly increase his strength. His defense and strength have been greatly increased, at least 3 times, and his overall combat power is 1 billion. Due to the imperfect bloodline, after using this ability, his cultivation will drop. Terrifying. When he transformed into the evil spirit race, his combat power soared to 1 billion, which was shocking. Sure enough, the power of the bloodline was the most terrifying existence. It could instantly increase a person's strength by a lot. No wonder the human race's bloodline looked down on them. Their own strength was already terrifying. And when they used it, it would reach a heaven-defying level. It's just that the power was not pure enough. And the side effect of using it is indeed strong. No wonder Ji Yang refused to use it in the beginning. Now that General Ming Shun was killed, he was completely enraged, and he must use his strongest power to crush Yi Tianyan. I want you to die. Ji Yang roared, and just the sound wave alone lifted a large piece of the ground in front of him, and the shockwave spread in all directions. No one could stop it. Chapter 645. Ji Yang didn't look handsome at all now. He had completely transformed into a god of slaughter, a demon, brandishing the divine weapons in his 4 arms as he charged over. His speed soared in a straight line, far exceeding his previous strength. Who would have thought that Ji Yang still had such strong strength? Even if the old ancestor is here, he wouldn't be able to stop Ji Yang, right? Elder Luo and the others were stunned. They had never seen the evil spirit race's eruption before. Now that they saw it, their hearts trembled. Even if their old ancestor erupted, it might not be as amazing as Ji Yang's eruption. However, the side effects of the phoenix race's eruption were very small, but the side effects of the evil spirit race's eruption were too great. Not only did it last for a long time, but the side effects were also immediate. They didn't know about this. They only knew that Ji Yang was very powerful, and his violent strength was far from what they could compare with. Now it was not the phoenix race's old ancestor who wanted to deal with him, but Yi Tianyan. However, Yi Tianyan also looked extremely domineering. He had transformed into an evil spirit, looking tall and mighty, handsome and evil. Especially with 2 horns on his head and a pair of black wings condensed from black flames on his back. His aura was obviously stronger than Ji Yang's. Daddy, be careful. Luo Yin shouted loudly, feeling extremely worried. Don't worry, your daddy isn't that bad. Yi Tianyan smiled indifferently, looking at Ji Yang who was rushing over, and said indifferently, if my cultivation hadn't broken through, it would have been really difficult to deal with. Can my eruption increase so much? Compared to the original state, my strength has increased by more than 4 times, almost 5 times, right? At first, Ji Yang's combat power was less than 2 billion, but now it was 1 billion. This kind of improvement was already at a heaven-defying level. Roar! The first thing to arrive was the terrifying sound wave, which instantly enveloped Yi Tianyan, but it only brushed past his body, not causing him any harm. On the contrary, the ground around his feet seemed to have been plowed, rolling up and down. In an instant, Ji Yang appeared in front of Yi Tianyan, and smashed the 4 divine tools in his hand towards Yi Tianyan's body. The 4 divine tools emitted a bright light. Yi Tianyan was using 4 divine tools at the same time, which was more than enough to crush most experts. Every divine artifact had a different effect. The first divine fan was like a dagger, and it was aimed at his chest. Another divine sword was aimed at his head. The ice-cold heavenly Een fire was surrounding the sword, and it vaguely transformed into a ghost that was trying to bite him. Next was a giant axe, and it was aimed at his waist. The sharp edge of the axe was enough to cut through the void. The last one was a long spear. It was the weapon with the longest attack range. It was aimed at his head, and it wanted to pierce through his head in one fell swoop. The 4 divine artifacts were stacked on top of each other, and their power was stacked up crazily. That was why they had such terrifying combat power. Myriad slaughters. Ji Yang's eyes were bloodshot as he slashed down. 4 resplendent rays of light locked down every direction of escape. It could be said that there was nowhere to run, unless they drilled into the ground. But even if they drilled into the ground, they would still be dug out by the 4 weapons. After displaying this amazing technique, countless skeletons swarmed out of the weapons and bit down on Tianyin. If he was bitten, he would definitely lose a large piece of flesh. Power doesn't come from just roaring, and it doesn't come from so many weapons. It comes from real power. Tianyin had already condensed a terrifying black flame in his hand. It condensed in his fist, and in the next moment, he aimed at Ji Yang and heavily hooked his fist. The black flame behind him condensed the power of the black wings. In an instant, it merged into his entire arm. Dense divine runes appeared on his arm. Evil spirits descend. His eyes flickered with black light. Then he hooked his fist, and a thick black light shrouded down from the sky. In fact, it pierced through his fist and pierced through the sky. Both he and Ji Yang were enveloped in it. At this moment, the power of the two collided, causing a violent explosion. Boom! The deafening sound spread throughout the entire phoenix nest. The power that came from it was several times stronger than the power that came from the phoenix cave. Even though everyone was standing far away, the aftermath of this power caused them to continuously retreat, and they almost fell to the ground. What a terrifying power! Apart from these words, there was nothing else that could be said. It was really too shocking. The Imperial Tutor will definitely win, definitely. The people of Nether Heaven Divine Nation's heart sank. They couldn't help but shout. They didn't want their Imperial Tutor to lose. If he lost, they would really be finished. The Divine Envoy will definitely win. The Phoenix Nest believed that Tianyin would win. At present, Tianyin was their hope. If Tianyin died, then they would also be finished. Just thinking about it made them feel a bit sad. They were a dignified Phoenix clan, but they were protected by a human. But thinking about the fact that he was a divine envoy, they didn't think much of it. They had long regarded Tianyin as one of their own. Under the prayers of everyone, the black light that received the arrival of the evil spirits quickly spread in all directions. Wherever it went, the ground was annihilated inch by inch. Until the black light covered a radius of 1 kilometer, it finally stopped. As the black light gradually dissipated, what appeared in front of everyone's eyes was still Tianyin's stalwart body. He was just standing there motionlessly, not even moving half a step. As for Ji Yang, they couldn't see any trace of him. All they could see was a pile of ashes. Not far away, for divine tools had fallen to the ground. All of them were scorched. Imperial Tutor. Everyone was horrified. They didn't see the Imperial Tutor, but when they saw the 4 divine tools fall to the ground, they knew that their Imperial Tutor had died and turned into a pile of ashes. He was burned to ashes. A Saint King stage powerhouse was burned to ashes just like that. Everyone took a deep breath. Even if this flame was immortal fire, it wouldn't be able to do it so easily, right? In fact, this was the inextinguishable flame. But it was the inextinguishable flame that had been strengthened several times. With the power of the Imperial Phoenix bloodline, the power of immortal fire is incomparable to heavenly Een fire. It can burn all evil things, including Ji Yang. Tianyin didn't use the power of the Imperial Phoenix bloodline before, but when facing Ji Yang, he used it. If he didn't use it, he would be able to suppress the Imperial Tutor. Because he didn't have much time left. The 200 times EXP card only had a little time left. If he didn't kill Ji Yang now, it would be a waste. Ding! Successfully killed Ji Yang. Reward, 22. For billion EXP, 180. 000 crazy point for 100. 000 SPS. Reward. Heavenly Een Divine Secret Art, Netherworld Divine Palm, Netherworld Divine Secret Art. Heavenly Een Grand Array, Evil Spirit Divine Secret Art. Items obtained. Evil Spirit Divine Sword, Inferior Grade Divine Artifact. Evil Spirit Divine Armor, Inferior Grade Divine Artifact. Evil Spirit Boots, Inferior Grade Divine Artifact. Evil Spirit Bloodline Grade 2. Evil Spirit Soul Rare. Evil Spirit Bone Rare. Evil Spirit Secretary Rare. Ding Reward, 500 million EXP 100. 000 Crazy Point 5. 000 SPS, 1 extra lottery ticket. Chapter 646. Ding. Congratulations to player Etianyan for successfully breaking through to 9th layer Spirit King stage. Ding. Congratulations to player Etianyan for successfully breaking through to the peak of Spirit King stage. After ascending 2 levels in a row, Etianyan was stuck at the peak of Spirit King stage. He had thought that he would be able to break through to the Saint King stage, but now it seems that he had thought too much. Advancing from the peak Spirit King stage to the Saint King stage required 15 billion EXP. One should know that advancing from the first layer to the second layer of the Spirit King stage required 3 billion EXP. At the later stages it would require 8 to 9 billion, or even 10 billion EXP. As such, the seemingly ridiculous amount of EXP was only enough to level up 1 or 2 levels. But this was already shocking enough. From the 4th layer of Spirit King stage to the peak Spirit King stage, he spent almost 9 million crazy points to buy EXP cards. This kind of consumption was too shocking. The experience card was too expensive. Fortunately, he had a 50% discount coupon, so he only used it now. Everything was half price, but even so, it still made his heart ache. 80 times EXP card cost 2 million crazy point. After half price card, it only costs 1 million crazy point, but it was still expensive. As for those that are 50 times, they also need more than 1 million crazy points. Even those that are 20 or 30 times, the price is as high as 1 million crazy points. If he didn't use the half price card, he would need at least 10 to 20 million crazy points. Now that the half price card cost 8 or 9 million yuan, it was also very painful. However, facing so many experts, how could he not use it? Foundation is always the most important, and he has so many crazy points, he can just earn it back. Ding, 80 times experience card time up. Ding, 50 times experience card time is up. Ding, 1 hour was really too short. It would be great if it could be longer. However, most of the cultivators had been eliminated, and the 2 Saint Kings had been killed. What else could they ask for? The most valuable ones were these 2 Saint Kings. The rest were just average. Of course, if they could last a little longer, he would not mind. It was a pity that he could only last until he killed the heavenly netherworld Holy King. If he could kill all 3 of them, the experience points would be exploding. However, he could only think about it for now. It would still take some effort to deal with them, especially since it would also take up a lot of time outside. After killing the rest of the Spirit King stage experts, Etianyan returned to his original state. Since he didn't enter the combat state for the time being, he didn't need to maintain this state. It would consume a lot of crazy point. It's over for now. Etianyan swept his gaze across the crowd. The eyes of the Phoenix clan members were filled with shock. It took a long time for them to recover from their shock. 2 great Saint Kings had been easily killed, so how could they not be shocked? If he hadn't arrived in time, he wouldn't have known what had happened. Most of them had probably been captured, and there were even quite a few casualties. If they resisted too much, they would definitely kill them. They wouldn't insist on capturing them. Hurry up and find a place to hide. We are safe for now. I have killed all the cultivators from Heavenly Netherworld Divine Kingdom outside. However, I am not sure if there will be any reinforcements, said Etianyan as he walked over. Everyone nodded and immediately ran to hide with the injured. They were frozen by the heavenly fire before. If they want to recover now, they must find a place to slowly recover. Otherwise, they won't be able to fight anymore. Daddy. Luoyan whispered, but it was not as smooth as before. She didn't directly throw herself into Etianyan's arms, which meant that she knew that Etianyan was not her father. Do you remember anything? Etianyan reached out and rubbed Luoyan's little head. It's good that you remember. Just call me Big Brother E. It's weird to call me Daddy. After all, I am not Elder Luo's son-in-law. I am just a friend who helped you come back. No, I can call you Godfather. Luoyan's beautiful eyes flashed, and suddenly she grabbed Etianyan's arm and said in surprise, Godfather, you are amazing. That was a Saint King stage expert. What did you look like when you transformed? We have never seen it before. Godfather. Etianyan touched his nose, feeling a little embarrassed, but calling him Godfather is better than calling him Father. Divine Envoy, it's really thanks to you that we are fine. If you didn't come back in time, we Elder Luo clutched his chest, his face was pale, and his injuries were obviously not light. Hurry up and hide, there is still the biggest one that hasn't been eradicated. I will go and take a look first. Yi Tianyun signaled them to hide quickly. Luo Yan and the others nodded and immediately evacuated with their people. The phoenix nest has a very safe place, so they quickly evacuated and quickly went to the safe house. Yi Tianyun didn't stop and quickly went to the phoenix cave. He didn't even get close to the phoenix cave, but he immediately felt the energy fluctuations coming from inside. The fluctuations were getting stronger and stronger, which was obviously the result of crazy attacks. It seems that the war is not over. It should be said that it has just begun. Yi Tianyun immediately ran down, and the closer he got, the more he could feel the terrifying power coming from inside. When he went down, he saw 3 Holy King ancestors frantically attacking the heavenly netherworld Holy King in the distance. The heavenly netherworld Holy King blocked their joint attack with one hand, and at the same time, he constantly absorbed the souls that came out of the seal. Although it was very slow, as he absorbed more and more souls, the heavenly netherworld Holy King's cultivation had reached the peak of the Saint King stage. In the face of the crazy attacks of the 3 Holy Kings, he could easily resist them with a divine artifact. It must be known that the 3 Holy King ancestors used all their skills, and their cooperation was very tacit. They were simply the best partners. The superimposed power was not as simple as 1 + 1, but several times the power. This could be seen from the explosive combat power of the heavenly netherworld Holy King, which was more than 14 billion combat power. If the 3 of them joined forces to deal with Ji Yang, they would definitely be able to suppress him easily. How could the 3 old ancestors be simple characters? Their overbearing power, close cooperation, and even continued to be superimposed. They were terrifying enough, but the heavenly netherworld Holy King was even more terrifying. After absorbing the souls, the effect of the medium-grade divine artifact on his chest was maximized. It was indestructible, and could resist a combat power of 16 billion. Chapter 647. Heavenly Netherworld Holy King. Peak of the Saint King stage, infinitely close to the Divine King stage. Wearing a low-grade divine armor and a middle-grade divine artifact on his chest. Possessing the purest bloodline of the evil spirit race. The side effects of eruption are close to 0. He belongs to the relatively complete form of the evil spirit race. Martial arts. Heavenly Een divine art, Heavenly Een divine fire, etc. Its weakness was the extreme Yang fire. Preliminary judgment. His current comprehensive battle power is 14 billion battle power, and the details will continue to increase. With the appraisal eye, the detailed situation appeared in front of him. His battle power is as high as 14 billion, which is more than a level higher than Ji Yang. The key is that he has not erupted with his true body. Once he erupts with his true body, it is estimated that his battle power will be more than this. This is just like Ji Yang. When he truly erupts with power, it will greatly increase. Especially this old ancestor of the evil spirit race. It represents that the eruption is undoubtedly more amazing and more overbearing. He is already strong enough now. Using the power of the divine artifact, he can easily suppress the power of the 3 old ancestors. It has to be said that the higher the level, the more heaven-defying the increase in battle power is. Later on, it is completely enhanced by leaps and bounds. When he breaks through to the next level, he will probably break through to a few 100 million battle power. Even 5 or 600 million, 7 or 800 million. This is really a higher level of cultivation, can suppress a large number of cultivators, unless he relies on divine artifacts to make up for it. Now that the heavenly netherworld Holy King has so many divine artifacts, even if the 3 old ancestors all have divine artifacts, there is still a big gap in comparison. I didn't expect the heavenly netherworld Holy King to have the same body as this evil spirit race. The evil spirit race's attainments in the soul are really amazing. Yi Tianyun felt that he had entered a whole new world. It is too difficult for them to leave their body. As for separating a part of their soul, and then possessing others, or transforming into another life, this was basically impossible, but to the evil spirit race they were able to do this. It means that they have an extra life. Even if the other clone is killed, at least they will still be alive. How could it be like they were dead? They were really dead. Of course, after their avatars were killed, their souls would be injured, but at least they were still alive. They just had to slowly recover. It was better than dying. This kind of ability does not need to be envious, because after he killed Ji Yang and the others, he will have to go back and study it. With the ability to create more doppelgangers, it would definitely be best. This way, he would be able to do more things. If he could kill this evil spirit race being in front of him, he would definitely obtain a much purer reward. However, it did not seem that easy to deal with the heavenly netherworld Holy King, 100 Clan Leader. Yi Tianyun looked at the heavenly netherworld Holy King, and then looked at Bai Shuihuang. Bai Shuihuang also saw Ji Yang coming down, so she wanted to see what was going on. If Ji Yang and the others were to come down, Bai Shuihuang wouldn't believe them. They had to fight with their lives on the line. Otherwise, if the three ancestors were disturbed, they wouldn't be able to break through Holy King Tianming's defense. Divine Messenger, why did you come back? It's so dangerous outside. Bai Shuihuang was shocked when she saw that Yi Tianyun was able to come back, especially when she saw that he was able to come in. Could it be that the flame cage outside has been destroyed? The flame cage outside has indeed been destroyed, but don't worry. Only Holy King Tianming is left from the divine nation. I've taken care of the rest, Yi Tianyun said calmly. What? It wasn't just Bai Shuihuang, even the three old ancestors were shocked. The heavenly netherworld divine nation had two holy kings, and they were defeated just like that? No one would believe that they were defeated by this young man in front of them. Bai Shuihuang knew that Yi Tianyun's strength was not bad, but she didn't know that Yi Tianyun's strength was so strong. Big words. I don't know how you sneaked in, but do you think the imperial teacher and the others are that easy to deal with? If you want to distract me, you should at least come up with a better lie. This lie is far too hilarious. Holy King Heavenly Netherworld chuckled coldly in disdain, thinking that this was a joke. Not to mention him. Even Bai Shuihuang and the others thought that Yi Tianyun was lying to distract the heavenly netherworld Holy King. But isn't this lie a bit too fake? If even they don't believe it, how can they deceive the heavenly netherworld Holy King? The three old ancestors shook their heads. They had all heard of a human divine messenger, but now it seems that it was a bit unreliable. They knew what Yi Tianyun's intention was, but it was a bit too fake. He should have said that other god kingdoms had come to help. That would have been more believable. But now, this lie was too unreliable. Whether it's a lie or not, you can go out and see for yourself. I don't need to lie to you. Yi Tianyun stepped towards the side of the three old ancestors. Don't go over there. Bai Shuihuang wanted to stall Yi Tianyun, but she was still a step too late. Yi Tianyun had already stepped into their attack range. The three old ancestors continued to release their strongest attacks. The energy released was enough to send a Spirit King stage expert flying, but it was nothing to Yi Tianyun. Seeing this scene, everyone was shocked. Even if they were standing on the side, they would be sent flying immediately. On the contrary, Yi Tianyun stood there unscathed. He didn't feel anything at all. The energy released was like a gust of wind blowing on his body. At most, it would bring him a cool feeling, but it wouldn't blow him away. It seems that if I let you continue, you will have a great chance to break through to the God King realm. If I had come a little later, I'm afraid you would have succeeded, but unfortunately, I'm here. Yi Tianyun felt that this heavenly netherworld Holy King might really break through to the God King realm after absorbing all the souls. Even if he didn't break through to the God King realm, he was infinitely close to the God King realm. Not bad, even the three old guys can't deal with me, but you. Before he could finish his words, Yi Tianyun's eyes turned dark, and his body began to grow bigger and bigger. He immediately turned into a huge evil spirits. Terrible black flames surrounded his body, and huge black flame wings spread out from his back. If he didn't control the black flames, he would have burned everything around him. The terrifying power appeared again, and even the three old ancestors could feel the pressure coming from Yi Tianyun. How did the divine messenger become so powerful? Bai Shuihuang and the others were shocked. They tried to dissuade Yi Tianyan from going to the heavenly netherworld Holy King realm, but now it seems that they thought too much. At this time they thought back to what Yi Tianyan said before. Is it true? Did he really kill all the people from the heavenly netherworld divine nation? Chapter 648. After transforming into the evil spirits, Yi Tianyan's eyes narrowed, and with a wave of his hand, the heavenly nether divine sword appeared in his hand, and the black flame wings on his back disappeared instantly. Immediately, all of the divine runes on the heavenly nether divine sword lit up, making it look very dazzling. Break! Yi Tianyan stepped forward and created a pit on the ground. Then he threw himself towards the heavenly netherworld divine nation. Yi Tianyan's speed was so fast that he turned into a black light whistling away. The black flame wrapped around his body was like a beautiful black rose blooming in the air. However, the power of this black rose had reached an unprecedented level, and when it was used on the heavenly nether divine sword, its combat power reached as high as 17 billion. With his cultivation at the peak of the Spirit King stage, he could deal 16 times the damage, and with the evil spirit set, his combat power immediately reached 17 billion. If there was an ordinary Holy King or Spirit King stage expert standing nearby, his body would be instantly pierced and burned to ashes. Now that it was pierced through, even the void was about to be burned away. The surrounding walls were being burned to ashes inch by the scorching flames. The terrifying power made Heavenly Nether Holy Lord's pupils shrink, and a sense of crisis surged in his heart. Open! Heavenly Nether Holy King quickly formed a hand seal, and the divine artifact in his body quickly bloomed with stronger power. Layers of defense appeared outside his body, and it was several times stronger than the one he used to block the three old ancestors. It was obvious that this was the strongest defensive effect he could unleash. Previously he had only used half of his strength. Now that he felt the crisis, he immediately used all of his strength to block Yi Tianyan's terrifying attack. He had a hunch that if he didn't do this, he would be pierced through by Yi Tianyan. He didn't have the appraisal eye, so he didn't know how strong the black rose was, so he could only choose to strengthen his defense. He wanted to quickly dodge or use other power to block the black rose, but he couldn't do that now. Once he left this place, it would be very difficult for him to continue absorbing souls. Once he severed the connection, the three patriarchs would definitely return to suppress this place and prevent him from continuing. What powerful defense! I didn't think that the other party would only use half of his strength when we were dealing with him earlier. We have really been underestimated. The faces of the three old ancestors darkened. They had already given it their all, but the other party had only used half of his strength. Wasn't that looking down on them? In reality, he was looking down on them. The three old ancestors indeed cooperated extremely well, but their cultivations were still too low. A higher official could crush a person to death. In this place, a higher cultivation level was enough to crush the three of them to death. No matter how strong their cooperation was, if the difference in cultivation was too great, there was no way for them to make up for it. Following that, the Nether Heaven Divine Sword pierced through layer after layer of such a strong defensive power. It was as if it was piercing through a thin piece of paper, easily piercing through. Layer after layer was pierced through without any pressure at all. In fact, the black flames on the surface burned wildly, burning the thick defensive barrier into ashes. The spiritual power of the defensive shield was like an accelerant. Not only did it not weaken the black flames, but it also became more vigorous. How could this be? Heavenly Netherworld Holy King's face changed. He thought that he could resist it for a while, but who knew that he could not resist it at all? In the next moment he could only choose to dodge to the side, but his speed was still a bit slower. The Nether Heaven Divine Sword pierced through his arm, and he subconsciously used his palm to block it. The divine artifact armor on his body also released a surging energy to resist this overbearing power. Unexpectedly, the sword still pierced through his palm, and the terrible black flames instantly burned his whole body, unable to stop. As for the Nether Heaven Divine Sword, after piercing through his palm, it penetrated the wall behind him, and finally disappeared completely into the wall. Not even a shadow could be seen. The power of this throw was enough to pierce through the sky, and the overbearing black flames could even corrode everything. This flame, suppress it for me. Heavenly Netherworld Holy King snorted, and the surging heavenly fire quickly suppressed it. Although it was finally suppressed, his whole arm looked like it had been burnt to a crisp, which was enough to show how terrible the black flames were. As he dodged, the absorption of the soul was immediately cut off, and he could not continue to absorb the soul. The soul of the evil spirit cannot come out of the seal without external force, and can only roar at the bottom of the abyss. Rush over. The three old ancestors immediately rushed to the seal, wanting to reseal the evil spirit race. But at this time, Tianyan came to the side, stood at the crack and said indifferently, "Leave it to me." Immediately, he stretched out his hand and threw a terrible black flame, which continuously burned the evil spirit race, and immediately screams sounded. There is no doubt that the evil spirit race, which has been suppressed for a long time, began to quickly burn and disappear. What a terrible black flame! What kind of power is this? The three old ancestors were shocked, and the shock they felt today was more than the shock they felt in their entire life. Such a heaven-defying powerhouse, is he really a human? And not a descendant of a divine king? Divine messenger, he is too strong. How did he cultivate? Bai Shuihuang was also shocked to the point that she did not know what to say. Patriarch. Elder Feng came down at this time. His face was full of horror, and Bai Shuihuang already knew some information. Many experts of the heavenly netherworld divine kingdom have indeed been killed. The answer that followed was within their expectations. Tianyan did not lie, he did not lie from the beginning. It was just that they did not believe it. The sword attack just now made them believe that everything was true, and Tianyan really killed all the experts of the heavenly netherworld divine kingdom. Damn it! The heavenly netherworld holy king's arm quickly recovered, and the flesh grew at a speed visible to the naked eye. Compared to the heaven primordial retired emperor's recovery speed, it was even a little faster. This terrifying healing ability is really amazing. It's a pity that your plan was ruined by me, but it seems that you have absorbed a lot of souls. Tianyan looked at the heavenly netherworld holy king coldly. Although his soul was cut off, the heavenly netherworld holy king had absorbed too many souls, at least more than half of them. Otherwise, it would be impossible for his cultivation to improve so quickly. I have to say, you are the most powerful human I have ever seen. No, it should be said that you are the most powerful existence in the current human race. I did not expect the Phoenix race to have such a strong support. It is really beyond my expectations. The heavenly netherworld holy king's face was gloomy. He also heard what Elder Feng said. The other experts of the heavenly netherworld divine kingdom were killed. Chapter 649. The heavenly netherworld divine kingdom's biggest reliance was the three holy king powerhouses. Now that two holy kings and many elites of the heavenly netherworld divine kingdom were dead, what chance did they have? Under such circumstances, what chance did they have of winning? It should be said that if they were individually strong, they still had a great chance of winning, but now that so many of their people had died, the Phoenix race could escape at will. At most, he could only capture the Phoenix nest, but he couldn't capture them one by one. The heavenly netherworld divine kingdom attacked this place. In addition to the resources here, they also wanted to capture the Phoenix race. After all, this was the real point. The precious Phoenix blood essence was a guarantee to enhance one's strength. Now how could he capture them all by himself? He could only capture them one by one. Unlike before when he could capture them all. Do you think you still have a chance of winning? Tianyan looked at him indifferently. The black flame in his hand was constantly burning the evil spirit, trying to completely burn it to ashes. Affected by this, the heavenly netherworld holy king's face was slightly pale. The two were connected. The evil spirit was burning here, and the other side also felt intense pain. However, the heavenly netherworld holy king didn't immediately counterattack. The three old ancestors and Tianyan were standing here. How could he attack? It's undeniable that you are strong, but do you really think you have a chance of winning? The heavenly netherworld holy king sneered. I will give you a chance since you are not from the Phoenix race. As long as you join my heavenly netherworld divine kingdom, I will not pursue this matter. And I will even give you a higher position. Don't think that you are strong now. There are many things that you don't know. Even if you have the power of a holy king, this is just the beginning. The heavenly netherworld holy king was trying to win over Yi Tianyin again. Not pursue this matter? I killed most of your men, including 2 holy kings, and you won't pursue this matter? Yi Tianyin said playfully. He wasn't in a hurry to fight at all. Anyway, he was burning the evil spirit bit by bit, and if he continued like this, he would be completely burned to death. Originally, he planned to work together with Bai Shuihuang to kill the evil spirit, but now he didn't need to do so. He was now much stronger than before, and he didn't need Bai Shuihuang's help. He could burn the evil spirit by himself. With the super-enhanced immortal flame, coupled with his powerful strength, he could easily kill the evil spirit. Now that more than half of the malevolent spirit had been absorbed, the remaining portion would be even easier to kill. Although it was only a small portion, it was at least enough to severely injure Holy King Tianming. Although it was only a small part, but it was enough to kill the heavenly holy king, The heavenly netherworld holy king clenched his fists and said sternly, I need true experts, not weaklings. As he said these words, the aura of a powerhouse spread out in all directions, causing Bai Shuihuang and the others to feel the pressure on them increasing. This power was simply too strong. It was much stronger than theirs, so the pressure was naturally greater. Holy Spirit Yang were much stronger than them were holy. Holy King Soul. Holy land where Heave Saint was holy. He holy was holy saint. He had holy. He holy saint. God King on God. Holy saint. If they didn't use their positions to tempt them, they would use various martial arts or treasures to tempt them. This was nothing new to him, but they thought it was useful to him. If it was someone else, it might be of some use, but it was meaningless to him. Even if he lacked these things, he was a man of principle and would never go with the flow. Fence-sitters often died the most miserably. Moreover, the Phoenix clan had never mistreated him, so why would he choose to betray them? No, as long as you stop this step, I won't pursue this matter. Holy King Heavenly Netherworld said solemnly. I see that your talent is not bad. That's why I chose to do this. As long as you follow me, I will guarantee that you will become a God King in the future. The difficulty of becoming a God King in this world is simply too high. You will never be able to imagine how difficult it is. As long as you follow me, breaking through to the God King realm won't be a problem. It's not difficult to surpass the heaven-creating Divine King and the others. This time, the temptation was even more astonishing. Becoming a God King. Even the old ancestor of the Phoenix clan didn't dare to say such a thing. Who could guarantee that they would become a God King? But now, Holy King Heavenly Netherworld could guarantee that he would become a God King. In fact, he could see that as long as he absorbed all the souls, even if he didn't break through to the God King realm, he would be almost there. All that was left was a little more time to break through to the God King realm. Therefore, he didn't feel that he was lying when he said such a thing. If his cultivation was only at the Spirit King stage, or even lower, it wouldn't be credible. Everyone looked at Yi Tianyin. In the face of such a huge temptation, what would Yi Tianyin choose? Would he choose to follow Holy King Heavenly Netherworld, or stand on the same side as them? In fact, they all felt a bit tempted. Becoming a God King was a title of absolute powerhouse. Who wouldn't want to become a God King? The 3 old ancestors clenched the divine tools in their hands. If Yi Tianyin agreed, it would mean that they would have one more enemy, and it would be an extremely powerful enemy. His palms are now oozing a little sweat, feeling so terrible, afraid that Yi Tianyin will choose the opposite side. This meant that the Phoenix clan would be annihilated. Just Holy King Heavenly Netherworld alone would be difficult to deal with, let alone Yi Tianyin. However, they didn't intervene. All the choice was up to Yi Tianyin. Yi Tianyin didn't owe them anything. He was just a divine envoy. He didn't belong to the Phoenix clan. Therefore, no matter what choice they made, they wouldn't be ungrateful. They didn't give Yi Tianyin anything. This is really a big temptation. Yi Tianyin smiled indifferently. The black flame in his hands suddenly increased, and he slammed it on the ground. The black flame crazily devoured the remaining evil spirits. Accompanied by a scream, the evil spirit was completely turned into ashes. You actually gave up the opportunity to become a god king. Holy King Heavenly Netherworld's face was pale, and blue veins were bulging on his forehead. You will die, and you will die miserably. He didn't expect that Tianyan would still choose to give up the temptation. Give up the opportunity to become a god king? Tianyan shook his head and said indifferently. You are too full of yourself. Even if I don't need you, I can still become a god king. That's all. Chapter 650. The perfect answer and the domineering action explained Tianyan's choice. The last bit of heavenly netherworld Holy King's soul was completely burned to ashes. Originally, it could have lasted for a while, but under the increased firepower, it was easily burned to ashes. This meant that his strength could still be improved further, and would not stop at the current level. Bai Shuihuang and the others were overjoyed. It seems that in the end, Tianyan still chose to stand on their side, and did not choose to leave with Heavenly Netherworld Holy King. It seems that in the end, he did not compromise under the temptation of becoming a divine king. If it were them, they would not have said such words. However, Tianyan's response was even more domineering. Without Heavenly Netherworld Holy King, he can still become a divine king. If it was someone else, they would not dare to say such words, but he was so confident. For him, if he did not even have such confidence, how could he be worthy of becoming a divine king? Very good, very good. Heavenly Netherworld Holy King sneered. Do you think you can kill me just because you destroyed my clone? You are too naive. I will make you regret this choice. His eyes were filled with anger. Although the damage was not big, who would be willing to lose something that could have been more perfect? Due to his great anger, his power crazily increased. Especially the heavenly Yin fire within his body. It seemed as if it had gone crazy. It wreaked havoc in all directions, and everything was frozen wherever it went. The terrifying heavenly Yin fire was cold to the extreme. It could freeze everything. At the same time, his body began to grow larger. Arms grew out from other parts of his body, his chest, shoulders, and back. Each arm was as thick as a human's waist. He was simply the arm of a giant. Not good, he is going to transform. The bloodline power of the evil spirit race. The three old ancestors' faces changed. They had seen the power of the evil spirit race a long time ago. Even if they had not seen it in person, they had seen it in paintings. Immediately, they attacked frantically, trying to stop Heavenly Netherworld Holy King's transformation. Once he transforms, that would be his true power. How could they resist at that time? How can a grain of rice compete? Heavenly Netherworld Holy King stretched out his hand and crushed the attacks of the three old ancestors. Even the attacks were frozen by the heavenly Yin fire, then fell to the ground and turned into a pile of ice. After completely releasing his power and focusing on attacking, he was much stronger than before when he was only defending. The two of them could be said to be on a completely different level. He had just crushed the attacks of the three people when a black light pierced through the surrounding heavenly Yin fire at an astonishing speed. It was completely suppressed by the black light, and it quickly arrived in front of his chest. Everything happened too fast, so fast that the heavenly Netherworld Holy King barely reacted and reached out to grab it. Clang. This sound was like the collision of metal. But there was no metal on the heavenly Netherworld Holy King's palm. And yet there was such a harsh sound. Boom. Following that, a wave of air rolled out from his hand, accompanied by a terrifying black flame. It rolled out in all directions, including towards Tianming Holy King. Under this terrifying penetrative force, Holy Monarch Heavenly Netherworld was sent flying for a distance. He only managed to stop after taking dozens of steps back. At this time, there were dozens of deep footprints in front of him, enough to prove how overbearing this attack was. That's a sacred tool. Everyone sucked in a breath of cold air. They did not expect Tianyan to be so generous. Previously, he threw a divine tool, and now he threw a sacred tool. Although the grade was much lower, it was still a high-rank sacred tool. It was undeniable that the effect of this move was very obvious. The power was quite extraordinary, and it was much stronger than a simple attack. There were also shortcomings. It would be fine if the opponent was killed, but if the opponent was not killed, it was equivalent to giving the opponent a weapon. Drip. A drop of blood flowed down his palm and fell to the ground. It did not spread on the ground, but burned a deep hole in the ground. Such an overbearing force only injured his palm, not even pierced through it. Previously, it could still pierce through his palm, but now it could not even pierce through it? Could it be that if the weapon was a sacred tool, the effect would be so much worse? The main point was that the attack was blocked by the giant hand that grew out of his chest. The surface of the giant hand that grew out of his chest was glowing with a faint golden luster, which looked very dazzling. Not only the palm on his chest, but even the other palms were glowing with a golden luster, as if they were plated with a layer of gold. His whole body had turned into a golden evil spirit. In addition to the normal 2 arms, 4 extra arms had grown, adding up to a total of 6 arms. He had 2 more arms than Ziyang. Not only did he have 2 more arms, but his strength had also increased several times, reaching a frightening combat power. Holy Monarch Heavenly Netherworld. Peak of the Saint King stage, infinitely close to the strength of a God King. His whole body was glowing with a golden luster, and he had an indestructible golden body that could resist all attacks. His defense was very heaven-defying, comparable to the hardness of a low-ranked divine tool. His explosive power was even more amazing. He did not need any weapons. Just his fists were comparable to the strength of a low-ranked divine tool. His comprehensive combat power was as high as 22 billion. 22 billion battle power, which was several billion more than before. The difference between transforming and not transforming was really frighteningly big. Was this the power of the bloodline eruption? The Phoenix race could also erupt with amazing power, which was not inferior to the Holy Monarch eruption, but the cultivation of the 3 old ancestors was too weak. Even if they erupted, they still could not match the power of the Holy Monarch Heavenly Netherworld. No wonder it took 2 peak Holy Kings to suppress the Holy Monarch Heavenly Netherworld. In the end, some of his soul had slipped away, which was enough to prove that the strength of the Holy Monarch Heavenly Netherworld was slightly better than that of the Phoenix race. In the case of being suppressed, a lot of his soul had still slipped away, which was enough to prove that the strength of the Holy Monarch Heavenly Netherworld was slightly better than that of the Phoenix race. Although he was very strong, he was still injured by Yi Tianyun's attack, which meant that he was not absolutely invincible. The previous attack of Yi Tianyun had a combat power of 19 billion, which was a little lower than that of the Holy Monarch Heavenly Netherworld, but it did not mean that it could not hurt the Holy Monarch Heavenly Netherworld. But that was all. It only hurt the skin of the Holy Monarch Heavenly Netherworld. This wasn't his limit, but it was close to his limit. It was just a little bit away from exploding out. Even if he erupted, he would not be able to catch up with the Holy Monarch Heavenly Netherworld's combat power. The gap was really too big. If he continued to absorb a little more soul, Yi Tianyun felt that his combat power would not be at this level, but at least a level higher. He had to admit that it was too terrifying. It was the first time he had seen an opponent who could erupt with so much power. He had always thought that his crazy mode was heaven-defying enough. And in fact, it was indeed heaven-defying, but it did not mean that others would be inferior. Chapter 651. It's just a small injury. His defense is really amazing. Yi Tianyun was not surprised. He had used his appraisal eye to see the data, but he still had to use it to see what was going on. After he attacked, he immediately tested the Heavenly Netherworld Saint King's defense. It was really overbearing. Everyone's expression changed. Yi Tianyun's overbearing attack had only scratched the surface of the Heavenly Netherworld Saint King's skin. This made them feel despair. Even if Yi Tianyun did not join the Heavenly Netherworld Saint King's camp, the Heavenly Netherworld Saint King still had the power to crush them. It was no wonder that the Heavenly Netherworld Saint King had decided to attack. With such power, how could they not crush the Phoenix race? The Phoenix race's many years of foundation was not enough to defeat the evil spirit race. This made them feel very sad. They were sad that they were being suppressed. If they lost this battle, the Phoenix race would become slaves and be ordered around. What was more terrifying was that they would be kept in captivity. Every once in a while, the heavenly netherworld Saint King's blood essence would be extracted for them to absorb. The evil spirit race had chosen to suppress the Phoenix race because the Phoenix race's blood essence would be of great help to them. Otherwise, they would not have come to suppress the Phoenix clan for no reason. They would also choose to capture as many as they could. They weren't interested in the ordinary human bloodline at all, but they felt that it was good to work for them. Your strength is not bad, but you are still too weak. The heavenly netherworld Saint King sneered, and waved his hand that was holding the short sword. A sharp light pierced through the air towards Etienne. Whether it was the strength or the speed, it was much stronger than Etienne's previous attack. In the blink of an eye, the light pierced through the air and arrived in front of Etienne. Etienne narrowed his eyes and reached out to grab the short sword. Dang! A deafening sound rang out. Etienne was pushed back by the terrifying force. He was forced to take a few steps back before he managed to stop himself. However, his hand was not injured at all. His terrifying defense had suppressed the attack. The evil spirit set and the ancient desolation set gave him astonishing defense. It was enough to withstand this terrifying attack. Sometimes, being weak did not mean that one would lose. However, if one's combat strength was too weak, it meant that one's strength was definitely inferior to the opponent's, but it did not mean that one's defense would be weaker than the opponent's. Combat power included the value of defense, but the value of the increase was too low, so it was hard to see what kind of power it was. What a powerful force! Etienne felt the web between his thumb and index finger go numb. His defense had nearly been pierced through. If not for his defense being slightly stronger, his body would have been pierced through. However, he had a few ways to prevent himself from being pierced through. He just wanted to feel how strong the other party was. Everyone sucked in a breath of cold air. Such a tyrannical attack was actually blocked? This immediately gave them a little more hope. Oh, looks like your skin is quite tough. I'd like to see how many of my attacks you can take. Boom. The heavenly netherworld Saint King stomped on the ground, and the ground that was originally covered with divine inscriptions immediately crumbled and turned into a pile of dust. Soon after, he turned into a beam of golden light and pierced through the pitch-black room. He was like a sun that illuminated the room. He didn't use any weapons. He simply used his weapons to fight. His fist was comparable to a low-grade divine tool, so why would he need a divine tool to attack? Good. Etienne's eyes turned cold. The dragon god bloodline in his body crazily surged, and a faint layer of red appeared on the surface of his pitch-black body. Dragon god bloodline activate. Royal Phoenix bloodline activate. Under the dual activation, his combat power crazily soared. Fine dragon scales appeared on the surface of his pitch-black body. Even the pitch-black wings on his back began to turn into a pair of phoenix wings. The combination of the two formed a heaven-defying combination. 17. 5 billion. 18. 5 billion. 18. 5 billion. 19. 5 billion. 19. 5 billion. 20. 5 billion. 20. 5 billion. Finally, his battle power stopped at 20. 5 billion. Under the dual bloodline power, his battle power had increased by 3. 5 billion. This was already quite heaven-defying. If not for his high grade, he wouldn't have been able to achieve such an amazing effect. At the same time, he activated his last trump card, and with a loud bang, he turned into a huge black meteorite to meet the attack. Boom. Boom. The black light and the golden light crazily collided with each other. It was like a black meteorite colliding with the sun, immediately triggering a terrifying force. The force that was enough to annihilate everything quickly shrouded the surroundings. The divine runes on the ground, including the stone statues on the side, were all shattered. The solid phoenix cave was about to collapse. Bai Shuihuang and the rest quickly left this place. They couldn't stay here any longer. Otherwise, the force here would be enough to affect them. The three old ancestors could withstand the force for a while, but for Bai Shuihuang and the rest, even if they didn't die, they would be crippled. It's too scary. The divine messenger's power is too strong. They saw each other's horrified eyes, but more than that, they hoped that Etienne would win. If the heavenly netherworld Holy King won, they would definitely be finished. Even if their people escaped, they would not dare to come out in the future. Once they came out, they would be caught by the heavenly netherworld Holy King, and then face the consequences of being sucked dry. I don't know who will win, but I hope that the divine messenger will win. They prayed in their hearts, but not long after, with a loud bang, a black light was smashed out of the phoenix cave. After it stopped in the air, everyone saw that it was Yi Tianyan who was sent flying. Yi Tianyan's chest was dented a few times, and there was no doubt that it was the result of being hit by a fist. Then, the heavenly netherworld Holy King flew out of the ground. Compared to Yi Tianyan, the heavenly netherworld Holy King's condition was much better. Not only that, but his combat power had also increased from 22 billion to 23 billion. It seemed that the more he fought, the stronger he became. The more he persevered, the more terrifying his power was. Your power is not bad, but it is still too weak compared to me. How dare you compete with a mere human race's trash bloodline? The heavenly netherworld Holy King looked down at him with disdain. The bloodline's power is enough to suppress you from the beginning. Not only that, but the power of my martial arts is also higher than yours. The heavenly netherworld Holy King was not lying. Whether it was the grade of his martial arts or the gap in power, he was stronger than Yi Tianyan. The heavenly netherworld Holy King's martial arts were as high as high-grade heaven-level martial arts, and they were constantly being improved. Yi Tianyan had a lot of martial arts, but there were only a few that were useful to him. The heaven-creating Divine King's martial arts were powerful, but it could not make up for the gap between the two of them. Human race's trash bloodline? Yi Tianyan's eyes lit up. It is undeniable that our human race's bloodline is very ordinary, but we have an incomparably firm Tao heart. So, the whole world belongs to us humans, and we have unlimited possibilities. In his opinion, there was nothing more important than having a firm Tao heart. If one did not even have a firm Tao heart, how could one cultivate? Even if one had amazing talent, without a firm Tao heart, one would not be able to break through to a higher realm. This was not nonsense. Chapter 652. Who doesn't know how to talk? Heavenly netherworld Holy King's eyes were still full of disdain. Now you are the best proof. Your strength is not bad, but you are still suppressed by me. If you cultivated a little longer, you might have a chance to win, but unfortunately now you are dead. The evil spirit race's bloodline surged in his body, and his whole body was covered in golden light, making him look like a righteous person. But who knows that his heart is extremely dirty, a monster who kills people like cutting grass. If he can't achieve his goal, he will not let go of innocent people or newborn babies. No, you are dead. Yi Tianyan's eyes are flashing, but he is not in a hurry to attack. Instead, he is selling things like crazy, the repeated martial arts in the inventory, as well as some lower-grade weapons. All are sold. He spent too much crazy point to buy experience card before, which caused a lot of crazy point to be depleted. He doesn't have enough crazy point to buy 50 million crazy point. Fortunately, he earned a lot before, so he can make up for the difference of a few million crazy points. I'm dead? You're really full of yourself. It's time to end this. Don't waste my time. Heavenly netherworld Holy King said solemnly. But I won't kill you so quickly. I will let you know what it feels like to die. Yi Tianyan destroyed his soul. He will definitely not let him go easily. He will definitely torture him before killing him. Otherwise, how can he calm the anger in his heart? Seeing their state, everyone was worried, thinking that the odds of winning this time are not big. The three of us can't just wait. We are ready to go all out and burn our lives. The three old ancestors didn't plan to just watch from the side. Let an outsider help them. How can they, as the old ancestors of the Phoenix race, save their face? The main reason is that Yi Tianyan is under too much pressure. He feels difficult to deal with. They can only choose to sacrifice themselves to cooperate with Yi Tianyan to suppress heavenly netherworld Holy King. This is the worst way, but also the best way now. Heavenly netherworld Holy King, don't underestimate our Phoenix race. The three old ancestors roared, and a burst of Phoenix cry came from their body. Their blood essence burned crazily, and instantly, their whole body was covered with feathers. This is an obvious sign of atavism. At the same time, the terrifying nirvana flame wrapped around his body. His battle power rose crazily and became stronger and stronger. Old Ancestor! Bai Shuihuang and the others shouted anxiously, but in the end, they could only swallow the words they wanted to say. This was the only thing they could do for now. If they didn't fight, only death awaited them. However, even if they were to die, they would at least defend the dignity of the Phoenix race instead of cowardly hiding at the side. This was not the style of the Phoenix race. If it was your old ancestor who came back to life, he might be able to cause some damage to me. Now you 3 pieces of trash want to deal with me? Holy Master Heavenly Netherworld mocked. If that's the case, then I'll kill the 3 of you first so that your Phoenix race's resistance will be futile. Don't do anything. Let me deal with him. Yi Tianyun signaled for them to stay put. He could feel that the 3 ancestors were ready to risk their lives. Once they did, it would be hard to stop. But the 3 ancestors were stunned. They felt that Yi Tianyun would not be able to defeat the Heavenly Netherworld Holy King. Don't worry, it's not a problem to deal with him. Yi Tianyun said confidently. Oh, still trying to be a hero? It seems that you still don't know how big the gap between us is. Heavenly Netherworld Holy King shifted his gaze to Yi Tianyun and said indifferently, since you want to be a hero, then I'll fulfill your wish. I'll let you know that if you want to be a hero, you'll be a fool if you don't have the strength. Heavenly Netherworld Holy King took a step forward and rushed towards Yi Tianyun. Yi Tianyun's eyes are like a starry sky, full of stars, full of hope. Upgrade Crazy Mode. Successfully deducted 50 million crazy points. Successfully upgraded Crazy Mode Level 5. Successfully upgraded Crazy Mode. The next level requires 500 million crazy points. Crazy Mode. Successfully increased damage by 32 times. Kill EXP increased by 32 times. Alchemy Mode increased by 32 times. Crazy Point gained by 5 times. Sin value increased by 5 times, and so on. Yi Tianyun's damage was increased by 32 times. It was a shocking number. The original 16 times damage was already shocking enough, but now it doubled again, reaching an incredible 32 times damage. Help him! The 3 old ancestors didn't listen to Yi Tianyun's words and chose to retreat. After all, they could see the gap between the 2 of them. If they really let Yi Tianyun continue like this, the end result will definitely be Yi Tianyun's death. They didn't want Yi Tianyun to die. They even saw Yi Tianyun for the first time. But they didn't want Yi Tianyun to die. The reason is simple. Yi Tianyun has sacrificed too much for their Phoenix clan. If Yi Tianyun can escape, he will definitely become a stronger cultivator in the future. Even if he can't avenge them, at least he will be able to suppress Heavenly Netherworld Holy King. You are the stupid one. Crazy Damage Mode activate. With a low roar, an explosive power surged out of his body, and in an instant, the place where he stood was annihilated inch by inch, turning into endless powder. As if the earth was trembling because of him, a terrifying power surged along the earth in all directions. Just at this place, the world shook because of him. 20 billion, 22 billion, 25 billion, 30 billion, 32 billion, 33 billion, 35 billion, 39, 8 billion. Finally, it stopped at 39. 8 billion battle power, which is 20 billion more than before. Under the terrifying battle power, his eyes emitted a bright light, and even the surface of his body emitted a faint black luster, which looked like a bright spot. But inside there was a tremendous change. A terrifying power was compressed in this body, and when it really breaks out, it will destroy the world. Evil spirits descend. The black flame wings on Yi Tianyun's back instantly turned into a black light, shrouding the surroundings. Everywhere it went was burned to ashes inch by inch, and a big hole was burned through the space. When Heavenly Netherworld Holy King rushed over, he realized that something was wrong, but it was too late. This seemingly ordinary black light has already enveloped his body. As soon as it touched his giant golden hand, it was immediately burned into charcoal, and then gasified, turning into a wisp of golden smoke, but only for a moment. It continued to be enveloped by the black light. Chapter 653. under the shroud of the black light. Tianyan couldn't even scream before he was engulfed by the black light. It was difficult to hurt Tianyan before, but now he was easily burned to ashes. This was the effect of the damage increase. No matter how hard the body is, under the overbearing power, it will still turn into ashes. After the black light disappeared, there was an incomparably deep pit in a radius of 1 kilometer. From above, it looked unfathomably deep, and there was a scorching aura coming from the bottom. Just by approaching it, one could feel that they would be burnt to death. This was the effect of Tianyan deliberately reducing the range. If he expanded the range, let alone 1 mile, even 10 miles would be destroyed. At that time, half of the phoenix nest would be destroyed. What is this power? How can it increase so much? They were shocked. The 3 old ancestors originally wanted to use their power, but now they were suppressed. They could clearly feel their power. Compared to the power Tianyan just used, it was simply insignificant. They couldn't judge at this time. They thought that Tianyan had reached his limit, but now it seems that they thought too much. Tianyan didn't reach his limit at all. His power can be even more powerful, as if he deliberately hid it before. In fact, Tianyan didn't do that. He just wanted to try to suppress the heavenly netherworld Holy King, but in the end, he found that he couldn't suppress the heavenly netherworld Holy King, so he could only choose to exchange for crazy points. After accumulating enough crazy points, he immediately upgraded crazy mode to increase his power. It's just that the crazy points are basically gone now, but as long as he can kill the heavenly netherworld Holy King, everything else is not a problem. Not dead yet. Tianyan looked down at the bottom. If the heavenly netherworld Holy King died, then the experience message would definitely pop up, but it didn't pop up. It means that the heavenly netherworld Holy King is not dead yet. Immediately, he used the appraisal eye to quickly explore the situation below, and soon found the body of the heavenly netherworld Holy King at the edge of the pit, and began to escape. If it was someone else, I guess they would really let you escape. Tianyan sneered. His figure flashed and rushed to the deep pit. The 3 old ancestors looked down. They wanted to see the situation of the heavenly netherworld Holy King. After a while, Tianyan flew up from the bottom, holding a black charcoal in his hand. If you look closely, it is not charcoal at all, but a group of soul. But this group of soul is a bit like a physical body. It can move at will and release power. This was related to the evil spirit race. They mainly cultivated their souls, and their souls were so strong that they could leave their bodies at any time and form a physical body to attack their enemies. Even if the body is damaged, as long as the soul is not damaged, it can fly out to attack. The price to pay was not small. The greater the consumption, the smaller the soul would become. In the end, if the soul was gone, it would be equivalent to death. The cost is the heavenly Tianyan, the heaven's holy netherworld is the highest. The holy realm, the soul, the saint holy. Let me go, let me go. The heavenly netherworld Holy King's voice is full of fear. Who would have thought that Tianyan can still burst out with such terrifying power? In an instant he was destroyed. He thought that his body is indestructible, but it is as fragile as tofu, easily crushed. There is a difference of 10 billion battle power between the two. It is difficult not to be easily destroyed. The 2 of them are no longer on the same level. He feels that even if the Divine King comes, he will have the power to fight. Let you go? Do you think I will let you go? Tianyan said indifferently. If it is someone else, you really will escape. There is no aura at all, they will think you are dead. Back then, you can run away with half of your soul. Is this ability? After the 3 old ancestors saw this, the big stone hanging on their chests finally fell. It means that the heavenly netherworld Holy King is dead for sure. Now there is only a small group of soul left. As long as this group of soul is destroyed, the heavenly netherworld Holy Kingdom is officially destroyed. Without the 3 great Holy Kings, the remaining force is equivalent to the level of a 2nd or 3rd rank force. In the eyes of the old ancestors, it is easy to destroy. As long as you let me go, I am willing to give you anything, any way to escape, I am willing to give you. In the face of death, the heavenly netherworld Holy King began to beg for mercy. Where is the dignity of the heavenly netherworld Holy King? You are willing to give me anything? Tianyan said indifferently. Yes, any martial arts, any treasure, I will give you everything, heavenly netherworld holy kingdom will give you. As long as you let me go, I will give you everything. The heavenly netherworld holy king begged for mercy. The old ancestors all looked at this side, not interjecting. The decision is now in the hands of Yi Tianyun, whether to choose to kill or choose to stay to get the treasure. This is all up to Yi Tianyun. Become a slave? Yi Tianyun said indifferently. Slave. I am willing to be your slave. The heavenly netherworld holy king's soul trembled, but in the end he chose to agree. Is that so? It seems that you are willing to put down your pride. In my opinion, you have other plans, right? Even if you become my slave, unless I keep you by my side, I will only get myself killed one day. Yi Tianyun sneered. As for the treasure, in my opinion, it is all trash. What I want the most right now is very simple, and that is your life. As soon as he said this, the black flame burned madly, inch by inch burning the heavenly netherworld holy king to death. Screams constantly came from the heavenly netherworld holy king's soul. But no matter how much he screamed, it was meaningless. Ha ha. You will die soon, very soon. No, you will die very soon, ha ha. The heavenly netherworld holy king laughed, at this moment, as if he was not afraid at all. Only a voice full of hatred came. As the heavenly netherworld holy king, there was no way he would fear anything. The reason why he chose to compromise, who knows what he was thinking? Even if he becomes a slave, he can't force everything out of him. Maybe he is prepared in advance, so that Yi Tianyun won't be able to get anything out of him. Don't worry, you won't be able to see this scene. No matter how many companions you have, I will kill them all. Yi Tianyun said coldly. You are too naive, ignorant human, ignorant weakling. The heavenly netherworld holy king laughed, didn't say too much, and then completely disappeared in the flame. Ding. Successfully killed the heavenly netherworld holy king. Reward 21. 5 billion EXP, 150,000 crazy points, 100,000 SPS. Obtained heavenly in divine art, evil spirit divine art, evil spirit possession, evil spirit incarnation. Obtained evil spirit soul, evil spirit bone, evil spirit bloodline, evil spirit ancient jade super rare. Ding. Reward 500 million EXP, 100,000 crazy points, 100,000 SPS, 1 super enhanced lottery roulette. Chapter 654. After killing the heavenly netherworld holy king, he successfully broke through to the Saint King stage. After such a battle, he can easily break through to the Saint King stage. From the previous 4th layer of Spirit King stage, he rushed to the 1st layer of Saint King stage in one go. This process only took 1 day, and he broke through so many levels in a row. If people knew about this, they would be scared to death. Others spent more than 10 years, decades, or even hundreds of years to break through to the Saint King stage. Yi Tianyun only spent 1 day to successfully break through to the Saint King stage. It's so fast that even he himself didn't expect it. This was also the credit of the experience card. Even when he was able to break through to the Saint King stage, he had also bought an 80 and 50 times experience card. These 2 cards were expensive, but he still had to sell a lot of things to buy them. Peak Saint King stage masters were not common, so even if they sold their pots and pans, they would buy them to upgrade their foundation. Only by upgrading their foundation would their comprehensive strength be strong. Otherwise, it would be useless to say anything. It would be meaningless. But for him, it will take a long time to break through to the Divine King stage. Not to mention breaking through to the Divine King stage. At least he needs to be at the peak Saint King stage. He doesn't know how strong Divine King stage is, but he believes that it is absolutely terrifying. Breaking through from the Spirit King stage to the Saint King stage is a huge improvement in combat power. To break through from the 1st layer of Saint King stage to the 2nd layer of Saint King stage, I need 30 billion EXP. Can I have more? After Yi Tianyun checked the EXP required to break through, he was immediately speechless. It seems that without EXP cards, it's really difficult to upgrade. If he continues to buy EXP, he will really go bankrupt. Now that he is bankrupt, he doesn't have any crazy point. Hundreds of thousands of crazy point is nothing for him now. It's not useful at all. In the past, he was happy to get hundreds of thousands of crazy point, but now he feels that it's too little. Without a few million crazy points, it's really useless. Heavenly Netherworld Holy King is now dead. You can go and take over the Heavenly Netherworld Divine Nation. As for what you do with the descendants of the evil spirit race, that's your business. After Yi Tianyun landed, he returned to his original state and took a deep breath. The consumption was quite shocking. You were the one who killed the Heavenly Netherworld Holy King's people, so you should be the one to receive all the properties of the Heavenly Netherworld Divine Kingdom. Bai Shuihuang said. They would not covet any of Yi Tianyun's belongings, nor would they dare to covet any of his treasures. Indeed, Yi Tianyun had contributed the most. It should be said that he had contributed the most. As for the rest of them, they had not suppressed the Nether Heaven Divine Kingdom, so they could not be considered to have contributed. Therefore, they did not dare to take any of the treasures for themselves. It should belong to Yi Tianyun. As the divine envoy of your Phoenix clan, I'm considered to be part of your Phoenix clan. Therefore, the Nether Heaven Divine Nation will be taken over by you. If there are any treasures that you think are good and you feel apologetic, you can give them to me. I believe that the most important thing for you is to eradicate the descendants of the evil spirit race, right? Yi Tianyun smiled indifferently. He wasn't interested in ordinary treasures, especially if he was alone. How could he take care of all of them? He must ask for their help. That's right. No matter what, the divine envoy has saved our entire Phoenix clan. What belongs to you is yours. The Heavenly Netherworld Divine Nation must be eradicated. Bai Shuihuang said coldly. Even if they did not need any compensation, they would still eradicate the Nether Heaven Divine Nation. As long as the descendants of the evil spirit race existed, they might be attacked again. Vengeance had to be taken, and he would not be lenient. You can deal with this yourself. I'll find a place to rest first. If there's anything else, you can talk to me. Yi Tianyun said. Divine Envoy, if you don't mind, you can go to our Phoenix Lake to rest. It's the best place for you to recover. Old Ancestor Feng Tian suggested. Phoenix Lake? Isn't that a place that only the elders and above can enjoy? Of course, Yi Tianyun knew about this place, but only the elders and above could go there. He was a divine envoy, so he couldn't go there. Divine Envoy has saved our entire Phoenix clan. Not to mention Phoenix Lake, you can go anywhere you want. The three old ancestors didn't have the slightest intention to help Yi Tianyun. Why would they dare to provoke a Heavenly Netherworld Holy King, who could crush their old ancestor? They would definitely worship him as a god. Since that's the case, I won't be polite. Yi Tianyun indeed felt a little tired. After a battle, he needed a good rest. Immediately, under the guidance of the three old ancestors, Yi Tianyun went to the Phoenix Lake and arranged a small wooden hut to rest. After entering the hut, Yi Tianyun felt that the environment here was indeed much denser. The most denser part was the spirit spring that was constantly flowing into the hut. The Phoenix Lake was actually a spirit spring, and the hut was filled with spirit spring water. Therefore, if one wanted to enter this place, they would not be able to do so unless they had a very high status or had a very high contribution. If anyone could enter this place, the Phoenix Lake would have been sucked dry. The spirit chi here is very dense. If I keep absorbing it, I will definitely be able to earn a lot of experience points. Yi Tianyun nodded, thinking that this place was really a treasure land. However, before resting, he still wanted to do a lucky draw. 2 lucky draw chances and a gift bag. How could he miss it? Let's start the lucky draw. Soon, he activated his lucky aura and started the lucky draw. Soon, the lucky draw will stop. Consumable. When he got the consumable this time, he did not look depressed. With the god's teleportation stone from before, he would definitely not be disappointed this time. Ding dong. A wooden box fell into his hand. Soon he opened the wooden box, and a treasure appeared in front of him. It was a cooling god stone. Cooling god stone greatly reduces the cooldown time of skills. One use can reduce the cooldown time by 2 hours. Can be used 10 times. Good stuff. Yi Tianyun's eyes lit up. He had to admit that this was really good stuff. He had not used the cooling god stone before because he was too reluctant to use it. Now that he had the cooling god stone, it meant that in the future he would be able to perform extreme bursts of power within a short period of time. Of course, it could also be used to perform extreme escape. Using teleportation to escape was indeed a very good treasure. As expected, the items obtained from activating his lucky aura would not be too bad. Again. This time, I must hit the accessory slot. Just in time for me to complete the Ancient Desolate set. Soon the lucky draw will start spinning again. Finally, the needle slowly stopped. The needle seemed to really hear Etienne's shout and pointed at the accessory slot. Chapter 655. Once again, Etienne was excited. After all, there was only one desolate ancient set left. Once he collected all of them, the effect would be huge. Etienne's current cultivation was at Saint King stage, which was very strong for others, but for him, who was about to face a God King stage expert, Saint King stage cultivation was nothing. Ding! Another wooden box fell. The wooden box looked the same. Even the color was exactly the same. If it wasn't for the pointer pointing at a different place, Etienne really didn't know what was inside. I wonder what it is. Etienne quickly opened the wooden box, and soon an item appeared in front of him. Desolate ancient ring. What the fuck? Etienne immediately screamed when he saw it clearly. He didn't expect it to be desolate ancient ring and not desolate ancient bracelet. Although he had 10 fingers, only one of them was useful, so it was meaningless to give him so many rings. I thought I could collect the whole set of desolate ancient accessory, but it seems that I can't for the time being. Even if I want to spend crazy points to draw lottery, I don't have enough crazy points to do so. Etienne shook his head helplessly. He was poor now without crazy points. He felt like he had no money. He couldn't upgrade a lot of things. He couldn't even take a step forward. Just drawing lottery cost more than 1 million crazy points. He didn't have enough. Forget it. I hope I can get desolate ancient bracelet next time. Etienne didn't have a particularly strong need in this aspect. He didn't have a particularly strong opponent. He couldn't use the set even if he collected it. Immediately, he turned his attention to the LV71 gift pack. He didn't know how many EXP cards he could get this time. If he wanted to level up, he would need to give more EXP cards to increase his level. Before he could get 80 times EXP card. How many times EXP card could he get now? Unlocked LV71 gift pack. Ding, successfully unlocked LV71 gift pack. Obtained 100 times EXP card, 20 times crazy point card, 20 times sin value card, 20 times proficiency card, and unlocked ring equipment slot too. In addition to getting a lot of EXP cards, what surprised Etienne even more was the ring equipment slot. This made him very surprised. He thought that desolate ancient ring was useless, but now it seems that it was very useful. He could still equip it. Although it wasn't a full set, the effects of the Primordial series equipment were shocking. He couldn't wait to equip a few more of them. In that case, the number of rings can really continue to increase? Based on this situation, it was possible that he would continue to open the equipment slot 3. Let him equip a few more rings. After all, he had 10 fingers. How could only 2 be effective? Ever since he started playing the game, he had wondered why only 2 of his 10 fingers had an effect. Couldn't there be 10 of them? After all, there were 10 fingers and 10 toes, right? As for the bracelet, at least he had 2 wrists. Even if he didn't wear it all the way to his elbow, he could at least wear one more, right? However, grumbling was just grumbling. He would have to wait until next time to find out whether or not he would be allowed to continue opening the equipment slot. All in all, it's not bad. The gift pack really didn't disappoint me. Etienne was very satisfied. He just didn't know how long this upgrade pack would last. When would he run out of this upgrade pack? He didn't care how long it would take. He just wanted to open it every time he could. It's about time. I can take a good rest. This battle is really tiring. Etienne temporarily calmed down. The matter of the heavenly netherworld divine kingdom was settled. The rest would be settled by the Phoenix clan. He just needed to sit and wait for the goods to arrive. Immediately, He sat on the spiritual liquid beside him and began to quickly absorb the spiritual liquid to nourish his body. After so many battles, even if he had replenished himself, the consumption was still very high. Time passed day by day. The news of the destruction of the heavenly netherworld divine kingdom spread quickly. It was impossible for the news to spread to the entire netherworld. The netherworld was too big. Only the surrounding divine kingdoms knew about the situation here. As for the forces that were very far away, they didn't know what forces were there. The netherworld was vast beyond imagination. However, the surrounding forces were already shocked speechless. The heavenly netherworld divine kingdom was very powerful. At least it could enter the top 5 ranks. How could it be gone just like that? In the end, it was the Phoenix clan who came to take over. Many practitioners were deeply shocked. The Phoenix clan had always remained aloof from worldly affairs. Why would they come to eradicate the forces of the heavenly netherworld divine kingdom? However, many people were shocked when they found out that the heavenly netherworld divine kingdom wanted to take over the Phoenix clan. The Phoenix clan has not declined. They are still as powerful as ever. This was the new thought in everyone's mind. They had always thought that the Phoenix clan had chosen not to go out because they had become weak. Now it seemed that they were not weak at all. They were still at the top and could suppress the other divine kingdoms. All of a sudden, many people's hearts cooled down. They didn't dare to capture the Phoenix clan. If they were caught one day, it would be a dead end for them. The storm outside had nothing to do with Tianyan. He didn't have any forces here. Therefore, no matter how turbulent it was, it had nothing to do with him. It's about time. Tianyan opened his eyes. A cold light shot out from his eyes. In these days, he had completely recovered all his strength. He had returned to his peak state. The spiritual liquid beneath him had been sucked until it became transparent. He got up, pushed open the door, and walked out. The Phoenix Lake outside had also become a bit more transparent. Just him alone had sucked away most of the spiritual energy. He didn't need to be polite. He had saved the entire Phoenix clan, so he deserved to be rewarded. However, he didn't gain much experience from absorbing so much spiritual energy. The spiritual energy he absorbed was only a small part of it. Although it was only a small part, it made the Phoenix clan's hearts ache. Messenger, have you finished your cultivation? The 3 old ancestors were cultivating. After fighting for so long, they needed to rest here. Then they clearly saw the lake in front of them become transparent. Without a doubt, Tianyan's absorption was too crazy. It scared them. They could only accept it. Even if the Phoenix Lake was sucked dry, they could only accept it. The effect of the Phoenix Lake is not bad. I am very satisfied. Tianyan smiled. I'm just a little embarrassed. I absorb so much. You don't mind, right? Not at all, not at all. The 3 old ancestors' faces twitched. Normally, they wouldn't bear to absorb like this. Even if they did mind, they wouldn't dare to say it. Now that we have cleaned up the heavenly netherworld divine kingdom and collected all the treasures, would you like to go and take a look? Old ancestor Feng Tian said. All right, it's about time for me to leave this place. Tianyan said with a nod. He came down here to eradicate the heavenly netherworld divine nation. After destroying the heavenly netherworld divine nation, he would be able to go to the heaven world. Chapter 656. What? You're leaving? When the 3 old ancestors knew that Tianyan was leaving, they were very reluctant. How could they let such a powerful divine messenger go? Although the loss of Lake Phoenix pained them a little, compared to the contribution of saving the entire Phoenix clan, this was insignificant. Yes, I'm going to the heavenly world. Tianyan didn't hide it. It wasn't a secret anyway, so there was no need to hide it. Heavenly world? They looked at each other and said, the passage from the underworld to the heavenly world is now broken. It's hard to go there unless you go through the mortal world. But Divine Messenger is so strong. How can you go through that passage? I'll take care of it myself. Tianyan didn't tell them that he could use the Heaven Ascending Divine Altar. Even without the Heaven Ascending Divine Altar, he could still go to the heavenly world. He had the Guardian's strength now, so he wasn't restricted at all. and could go to the heavenly world as he wished. He just wanted to save time, so he used the teleportation formation to go to the heavenly world. All right then. They looked at each other. Although it was a pity, they couldn't stop Tianyan from going to the heavenly world. Now that the heavenly netherworld divine nation was taken care of, they didn't have any problems. Tianyan followed them outside. Bai Shuihuang and the others had already taken the heavenly netherworld divine nation's things and divided them into several storage rings. Divine Messenger, these are the spoils of war we got from the heavenly netherworld divine nation. Please take a look. Bai Shuihuang put the storage rings on the table. There were more than a dozen storage rings. She had to admit that the heavenly netherworld divine nation was rich. These were just the treasures. There were also some cultivation places that couldn't be brought back, so she could only give them treasures. Tianyan took the storage rings and checked them. After a while he took a few of them and said, "That's about it, you can have the rest." In the storage rings he left behind, there were pills and weapons. They weren't too high in grade, but they were mostly high-grade soul armaments. The pills he had were mostly 4th-grade soul armaments. He took some sacred artifacts and level 5 pills. Most of them were given to the Phoenix clan. It would have been best if he could have kept all of them alive, but he had always been a person of mutual benefit. The heavenly netherworld divine nation was wiped out so quickly because of the Phoenix race. If it were him, suppressing the cities one by one would take up a lot of time. For this reason he would keep a portion of it and give most of it to the Phoenix clan. But, just as Bai Shuihuang was about to say something, Tianyan shook his head and interrupted her. "There's no need to say more. I'm already very grateful that you helped me eliminate the remaining forces of the heavenly netherworld divine nation. This is what you deserve. I have always followed the principle of equality and mutual benefit. As the god's emissary here, and with Luoyin here, I have some feelings for him. If you feel embarrassed, you can nurture Luoyin more." Tianyan hadn't been with Luoyin for a long time, but since he called him godfather, he would definitely take care of him. All right then. Bai Shuihuang wasn't a person who liked to talk nonsense. Since Tianyan said so, she wouldn't refuse. "Godfather, are you leaving?" Luoyin walked over at this time. She was reluctant to part with Tianyan. Although her memory was restored, she didn't forget the time when Tianyan took care of her. Therefore, she felt a little embarrassed to call him that, but she was still very close to him. "Yes, I'm going to the heavenly world." Tianyan rubbed her little head and said with smile, "I hope that when I come back next time, you will become stronger and become the pillar of the Phoenix clan." "I will." Luoyin waved her little fist and said with smile, "At that time, it won't be Godfather protecting me, it will be me protecting Godfather. I will wait for your protection." Tianyan smiled and rubbed her little head, and immediately after saying goodbye to the other elders, he left the place. Fortunately, the divine envoy we recruited is not a cruel person, otherwise, with his cultivation, I'm afraid that our Phoenix clan won't be able to survive. The 3 old ancestors shook their heads. If he was a cruel person, I wouldn't have chosen him as the divine envoy. Bai Shuihuang smiled slightly. Divine envoy is a righteous person. Just look at the situation with Luoyin. If you are good to him, he will be good to you. In the future, we must be on the same side as the divine envoy. No matter what he chooses to do, we must be on the same side as him. They nodded heavily after this battle. They all felt that Tianyan was a very good person, and a very good ally. Ding. Successfully completed emergency quest, Rescue Phoenix Clan. Reward, 500. 000. 000 EXP, 100. 000 CPS. 200 Phoenix Clan's favorability increased by 100. 000 SPS. At this moment, a notification popped up. It meant that the quest was completed, and they would receive a large reward. In the blink of an eye, Tianyan arrived in front of the heaven-ascending divine altar. The heavenly netherworld divine nation's cultivators who were originally stationed here have already disappeared. Instead, there was a group of ordinary cultivators who came here to take a look and see if they could enter the heaven-ascending divine altar. They wanted to enter the heaven-ascending divine altar for a long time, But this was the territory of the heavenly netherworld divine nation. Now that the heavenly netherworld divine nation is gone, the Phoenix clan didn't come to take over the heaven ascending divine altar, so everyone thought that the heaven ascending divine altar was unclaimed. The reason why the Phoenix clan didn't come to take over the heaven ascending divine altar was because they knew that it was Yi Tianyan's territory. Yi Tianyan didn't say anything as he didn't dare to take over the heaven ascending divine altar. Many divine rune masters and powerful spirit king experts came to take a look and see if they could sneak in. However, no matter how hard they tried, it was useless as they were all repelled by the powerful divine runes. What the hell is going on? How can such a powerful divine rune defense be able to enter? Who opened it? Could it be the heavenly netherworld divine nation? Or the Phoenix clan? I don't know. I heard that heavenly netherworld divine nation can't enter the heaven ascending divine altar. The Phoenix clan has never been here before, so it's impossible for them to open the heaven ascending divine altar. That's strange. Why would they do that? We can't even enter the heaven ascending divine altar. They shook their heads helplessly as no one could enter the heaven ascending divine altar. From today onwards, this place belongs to our Yulong divine nation. Everyone disperse. At this time, an expert walked up the stairs and shouted to the crowd. If Yi Tianyan was here, he would definitely recognize him. He was Grandmaster Tianqing, who was originally in Wave Shipping City, but he didn't expect to see him here. Chapter 657. What's going on? This is an ownerless land. How can it be yours? That's right. How can it be yours? Your Imperial Dragon Divine Nation is strong, but this place is empty because the Phoenix race destroyed the heavenly netherworld divine nation. Maybe the Phoenix race will come and take it. If the Phoenix race comes, let's see how you deal with it. Everyone was filled with indignation and dissatisfaction. The Phoenix race didn't say anything, so how could the Imperial Dragon Divine Nation occupy this place? They were even more unwilling to stop exploring. Rumor had it that there was an inheritance here, so how could they miss this opportunity? If the Phoenix race comes to take it, we will give it to them. Since this is an ownerless land, we will manage it for the Phoenix race. If you want to continue exploring, we welcome you at any time, but you have to get our permission first. Grandmaster Tianqing said coldly. Moreover, you have already tried it, but it didn't work. I advise you to leave as soon as possible. Grandmaster Tianqing's words were high-sounding. Helping the Phoenix race, to manage the Phoenix race? It sounded even better than singing. However, many cultivators still wanted to retreat. They had already tried it, but it all ended in failure. There was a chance that they could break it, but there was also a chance that they couldn't. But now that they were taken over by the Imperial Dragon Divine Nation, they couldn't fight against a divine nation. According to the ranking, the Imperial Dragon Divine Nation wasn't even in the top 10, but it was still a divine nation. Even if they didn't have Saint King stage powerhouses, they would definitely have a lot of Spirit King stage powerhouses. Especially now that Grandmaster Tianqing was a Divine Rune Grandmaster. Although his rank was a little low, his status was much higher than most of the people here. We want to continue trying. A small group of people stood up and said, yes, each of you can give us a mid-grade soul tool. Grandmaster Tianqing said. What? Everyone was shocked and immediately said angrily. That's impossible. This is an ignorant land. Why do you have to charge us? Didn't I say that you can just agree? Why do you still have to charge us? We are charging for the Phoenix race. Although the Phoenix race didn't come to take over this place, if they do, we will take good care of it. Maintaining this place requires a lot of resources. Your expenses are equivalent to offering to the Phoenix clan. Grandmaster Tianqing's words were reasonable, which made them speechless. If the Phoenix clan really came over, they would definitely offer it up with both hands. Even if there was no such thing, the Imperial Dragon Divine Empire would not dare to go against the Phoenix race. The two of them were not on the same level. If they didn't come, it would mean that they had taken it. Their scheming was obvious. This is my territory. Since when did you have the right to collect fees? At this moment, A figure walked out from the crowd. Everyone looked over and saw a young man walking out from the crowd. It's you. When Grandmaster Tianqing saw Yi Tianyan clearly, he flew into a rage. He had been humiliated by Yi Tianyan earlier, and he had been holding a grudge against him ever since. Now that he saw Yi Tianyan again, he was even more furious. This is my territory. Since when did you have the right to decide? Yi Tianyan said coldly. The Phoenix clan didn't say anything. What right do you have to occupy this place? Yi Tianyan found it funny. This Imperial Dragon Divine Empire really knew how to take advantage of loopholes. They thought that the Phoenix clan didn't come to take it, so they rushed over to take it. They even said that they were helping the Phoenix clan. If the Phoenix clan really came, they would hand it over immediately. They could even befriend the Phoenix clan. Their wishful thinking was really good. Your territory? Grandmaster Tianqing was furious. What a joke. If the Phoenix clan found out about this, I think it wouldn't be enough for you to die 100 times. Then you call the Phoenix clan over. Let's see if they will let me die 100 times. Yi Tianyan said coldly. Get down here. He raised his hand in the air and slapped Grandmaster Tianqing's face. Pa! Grandmaster Tianqing tumbled down the stairs. Under the watchful eyes of the crowd, he tumbled several times before finally falling to the ground. His face was swollen badly. The surrounding crowd sucked in a breath of cold air. This new young man was quite hot-tempered. Most importantly, his cultivation was not bad. This kid is dead for sure. The Imperial Dragon Divine Empire is not so easy to mess with. Especially when he is helping the Phoenix clan. No matter if he is helping the Phoenix clan or not, this kid is courting death. Yes. The Imperial Dragon Divine Empire wants to borrow flowers to offer Buddha. Before they take over this place, they quickly come over to help. At that time, no matter if the Phoenix clan is willing to take it or not, they will profit. This kid is still too young. He doesn't even understand. He probably came from some mountain village. He doesn't know what kind of monster he provoked. The surrounding crowd couldn't help but laugh. They felt that Yi Tianyan was too reckless. You actually dare to hit me. I am the Imperial Preceptor of the Imperial Dragon Divine Empire. Grandmaster Tianqing jumped up and pointed at him angrily. Capture him and bring him to the Phoenix clan. Make him beg for forgiveness. I am helping the Phoenix clan to manage this place. But someone wants to barge in. This is a big crime. Yes, Imperial Preceptor. The guard at the side was stunned. He immediately pounced towards Yi Tianyan and wanted to capture him. I haven't seen you for a while, and now you are the Imperial Preceptor of the Imperial Dragon Divine Empire. It seems like the Imperial Dragon Divine Empire is really stupid to hire you as their Imperial Preceptor. Yi Tianyan sneered and said. Get lost. Get lost. Yi Tianyan slapped the guard and sent him flying. Even if they didn't die, they were at least seriously injured. Yi Tianyan's action shocked many people. On the one hand, they were shocked by Yi Tianyan's cultivation. Although the guard's cultivation was not high, they were still at the Void Spirit Stage 8th layer. Doesn't this mean that this young man's cultivation is at least at the Spirit King stage? On the other hand, they felt that Yi Tianyan's courage was really big. He dared to go against the Imperial Dragon Divine Empire. Even if he was at the Spirit King stage, he was obviously insignificant in the face of a divine nation. You are determined to go against the Imperial Dragon Divine Empire and the Phoenix clan? Grandmaster Tianqing covered his face and looked at Yi Tianyan in horror. So what? Yi Tianyan said coldly. You are blocking my way. This heaven-ascending divine altar is my territory. No matter who comes here, they will die if they dare to provoke me. His words caused many people to suck in a breath of cold air. His tone was really arrogant. Did he not put any forces in his eyes? Can he enter the heaven-ascending divine altar? Immediately, Yi Tianyan lifted his foot and walked towards the heaven-ascending divine altar. But he didn't go far before he heard an uproar. The Phoenix clan's divine messenger is here. It's really the Phoenix clan's divine messenger. This is going to be interesting. You're tuning in to the Li Mei's Wuxia Whispers YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.